video games.
Alright, we are live.
Yippee!
Hello,
Hi,
Internet.
Twitch. Welcome to Game of the Year 2023. We're gonna probably give it like a second for people to like come in if they want to.
And shoot the shit, and you send the message saying you're starting the stream.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Streamco will do that
Well,
for me
no.
on my own, on its own in my Discord, but you need to do it on Twitter. Well, I guess X, nay Twitter.
X, nay Twitter, but it's Twitter.
It's Twitter.
Nay.
And
I'm
I
gonna
also
dead
need to
name
do
Twitter.
it
It
on
deserves it.
Blue Sky, which I joined.
Oh.
Oh, nice! You got a blue sky.
I do. If anyone wants an invite, they gave me invite codes, so.
We're in an exclusive club of people on blue sky.
Oh my god. It makes me feel like such an asshole.
I love the idea of the exclusive club
Yeah.
social media site.
It's just so ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
Why is this?
Oh, just Twitch says my average stream bitrate is too high. Well, that's just too bad. Just let my stream bitrate be high. Alright, I'm gonna run a 3-minute ad so that it won't run one for another hour, and
Yeah, okay.
then we will get started.
Cool.
Nice. Cool.
But I can still hear you guys.
Yeah. We're
Nice.
all here.
We're all here.
We're gonna talk about video games.
We're gonna talk. I guess I should stream the presentation for you guys too, so you can see it.
Yeah, it'd probably help.
Yeah.
I wish I could put it in the trash can, right? Yeah.
I don't know if you guys can hear my Spotify that's playing also or not, but
It doesn't sound like it.
Nope.
Well, I'm playing Spotify music, so.
It's like I'm there.
Wait, did you actually find
mean,
my Twitter?
Technically, you guys
Or is
can.
that Discord?
Huh? Oh, what?
The ats. So I actually have.
Oh yeah, that's
Twitter.
that's your Twitch username technically, but
Yeah.
I didn't think you had a Twitter. I'll be honest.
That's not my Twitter anyway. That's not my Twitter.
Oh, okay.
No, I do not.
But I guess
post
it
on
being
Twitter.
your Discord makes more sense because I put Twitch. Yeah.
Or I don't anything on Twitter. I have a Twitter account because Twitter makes you log in to view stuff.
Just
Yeah.
dumb.
Yeah, no. Here's my social media site. You can't look at it. Instagram does this too, I want to say, and like
I mean, I think a lot of social media sites
they all
are
do it now.
Get in here. Get an account. We want account.
Yeah, like Twitter made the mistake of doing it where like you can't log in at all at one point, or you
Yeah.
can't look at anything at all. And like Instagram does the thing where like it'll show you the image, but then if you try to like scroll or do anything, it's like log in.
Yeah.
And I have to get my tablet to post on Blue Sky because I'm not logged in on my computer.
Nice.
I got a new tablet for Christmas. I bought it for myself,
Nice.
but I used Christmas money, so
Lovely.
it's a Christmas present.
Yeah, it is.
For Christmas, I bought myself the Disney trading card game because
My brother did
Your
that
brother-
too.
your brother was like, "Hey, you want to play this game?"
Ah,
And I had a little bit of Christmas cash from relatives, and I'm like, "Well, I guess I'll burn it on this." It's an okay game.
all right. The ad break will end in 10 seconds.
All right.
I feel like I should be doing like the New Year's countdown.
Happy New Year's, everyone. All right.
Happy New Year's,
Um,
minute to 2024.
All right. Ad break is over. I like how on Twitch it says the ad has ended. Your community is back. Like, what the fuck do you take the community away for?
We had
All
to
right.
show them the money.
Technically, hi.
Hi.
My ad manager says the ad is still going, but my chat says the ad's over. I'm
Oh, hi,
gonna assume
Audrey.
it's Oak. Alright, hi everyone. Daniel, Anna, Audrey. Hi guys. Welcome to Game of the Year 2023. We're gonna have some fun here. As we go through the categories, I will briefly, if necessary, give like an explanation of what the category is. And then we'll each like take our own like time with it. So first of all, it's probably good to mention that. Oh, and you guys in the chat, please tell me your pick for these as we go through also. It's probably good to mention that this isn't relegated to just games that came out in 2023. This is any games we played in 2023. So there's gonna be a lot of new releases on here, but a lot of old stuff too. All right. So, and to kind of exemplify that, we're gonna kick it off with our best replay of 2023.
Yeah.
Mine was Dragon Age, and so I will talk more about this later because I put it in, I think, one or two other categories also. But the thing about Dragon Age is I love the story, but the more I've replayed it, the more like Other Anthony, thank you for the subscription. The more
Hey,
that
that's my partner.
Oh, hi. The more that I've played Dragon Age Origins, the deeper appreciation that I've developed for the mechanics, the gameplay mechanics, and the combat. I just love it. I'm the only person on Earth who likes the Origins combat better than any of the other games. It is a tactical RPG to me. It's not an action RPG. It's a real-time strategy game. But yeah, alright. I don't really... I'll talk more about this later. Like, I just want to say I love it. I love the mechanics. It's my favorite RPG of all time. It'll be my best replay every year. Alright. Eli.
Yeah. I replayed A Short Hike because I was feeling kind of sad about stuff like early in the year, and I was like, you know what will make me feel better? Playing a game that makes me cry so hard every single time I play it.
I don't know this game. Can you give like a basic
Yeah.
like, what is it?
Yeah. So it's like a very small game. Like it's truly something you can finish in like 2 hours probably, if you're trying to get like all of the achievements. The general premise is you are playing as this bird who is getting dropped off at her like aunt's cabin, and she's kind of just spending part of her summer there, and there's kind of a goal to get up to the top of this mountain, which you have to, go around, collect feathers, talk to people, do little side quests and stuff. I don't want to spoil the ending if you haven't played it, but it is like, it's a terribly cute little game. It's really fun. You can kind of just like enjoy the very like laid back. It's kind of like, to me at least, the vibe is like if Night in the Woods wasn't like horrifically depressing. You know what I mean?
Okay.
You get to wander around and be an animal and talk about like your life and your family, and like that feels really nice. It's like a lovely game. It makes me cry really hard because it's like a nice positive thing at the very end. And it kind of like, if you feel bad about like your life and you would like to feel like you're making little accomplishments, like it feels so good every time in this game when you get like, a new feather and you get to like explore new places. It feels so good.
We love a game with good progression hooks.
Yeah.
That sounds really nice. That sounds very sweet and nice. Like
it's so good. It's also like very, I think my sibling like showed me this game a couple years ago, and I definitely think like, I'm trying to remember because I think Louis Zong might have done some of the music on it.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, so it gives you a sense tonally of where this game is at.
Nice.
But yeah.
All right, Alex, your best replay was Terraria.
Terraria. So yeah, a friend of mine got into this, and it's the same way I end up replaying Terraria every time. Is a friend of mine picks it up, and I see they're playing it. I'm like, "Cool, you're playing Terraria. Would you like some help?" Because the thing with Terraria is it's actually not like a lot of people just think it's 2D Minecraft. It's not. It's got like boss fights and a lot of like learning and progression that you do throughout it, and it's a lot of fun. But it's more fun with people.
Daniel
which
says,
is
hey,
why
I
I
play
generally
Terraria.
I would love to play Terraria, which is why I'd recommend pick this up with people if you've never played Terraria. Wow, you made it pretty far to not play Terraria, because everybody's fucking played this game. It seems like. But yeah, pick it up with people. It's great. It's a fun, like you do get to kind of do the Minecraft thing where you build your little base and you can make like pretty buildings. But you can also like have some tough fights with bosses, and it's great, and I love it. Anytime I play it, I love it again.
I actually
adding things.
So yeah. I played this a little bit like a long time ago. It's been one that I've been meaning to get into for a long time. But it's kind of funny because I was talking to Sydney, and Sydney was asking me for games that are good to play while listening to like an audiobook. And
Terraria is not bad for that.
Terraria and like Minecraft, I recommended like both of those.
Yeah.
So maybe
you'll
get a
better, I think, for the like you absolutely don't want to have your brain on, because you do eventually kind of need to turn it on to do the bosses of Terraria,
sure.
But it's still the same kind of thing.
You might get a Sydney invite sometime this year for some Terraria.
If you want to play it, I'm down to play it.
Terraria is beautiful. Also, I'll just add that.
Yeah, you can.
It's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. They keep adding to it. I bought this game for like $10 10 years ago, and the game I played 10 years ago is not the game I played this year at all.
Yeah, interesting.
He just keeps adding to it. They even were like, we're gonna make another one. We're gonna make a second one, and they scrapped that and just kept adding stuff to the first one.
It kind of feels like if it ain't broke, like don't make a sequel.
Yeah,
you know
because like they do that, and then they do like a blast of like, hey, we add all these features, and a bunch of people just buy it. And they get to live the dream. It's great.
I love that. All right. Our next category is the best new to you game. So this is specifically games that came out before 2023, but that you had never played before 2023. So for me, my best new to me game was Mass Effect 2. Oh my god. It's as good as everyone says it is.
Mass Effect 2 is good.
It's so like, I love a character-driven narrative. Mass Effect 2 is like the most character-driven game I've like played in a very long time that wasn't just like a visual novel or like a story game, because like half the quests in this game are just hanging out with your buddies, like going and doing some random bullshit for them.
Oh, it's great.
And you have so many good friends that you're just here, and one not very good friend, but like we don't have to talk about that because this is the positivity zone right now. Who do I mean? I'll leave that up to your interpretation.
I feel like it starts with a letter Z, maybe.
Letter Z, interesting.
Feels like that narrows it down pretty good.
It doesn't start with a Z. Oh, wait, I forgot about that guy. Okay, so you have two not very good friends.
I was going to say, I would be surprised if you felt that this... Yeah.
I was thinking it's like...
Okay, here's the thing.
Yeah.
He sucks so bad, but I forgot about him, so it doesn't even matter. I'm still mad at Miranda because I actually liked her, and then she made me really mad at like the last 2 hours.
Yeah.
That's Miranda. But no, I want to say, Mass Effect 2 was
funny.
like Golden Age BioWare, and it shows. It's very good.
I did put in my notes. The one thing that I didn't like about Mass Effect 2 is I found the ending very underwhelming compared to the first game, which was such an insane and like perfect ending.
You're just mad you didn't get to...
The ending fight in Mass Effect 2 is just kind of boring and underwhelming, but anticlimactic would be the right word for it, I think. But I think like overall, like everything before that is so perfect and beautiful and wonderful, and I'm in love with Garrus. You both played this game, yeah?
Yeah.
I played it when it came out. Like I think I played Mass Effect 1 like after it had come out. Then I got into it, bought Mass Effect 2 when it came out and played it.
Cool. I really recommend Legendary Edition. It's like if you haven't played Mass Effect in a really long time, or if it's your first time playing it, get Legendary Edition because it is great. Also, mod it because it's fine. Just do it. Just add a bunch of mods that make everything
Every
look
day
nicer.
of your life, you love to put mods on a game.
There is nothing I love more than just putting some files into folders.
That's why you should get into Terraria and Minecraft, Charlie.
Oh yeah.
All day long.
All day long, you'll put files into folders.
Imagine not wanting Garrus to be calibrating the weapons. I didn't mod that. That's all he's doing. That's all my man is doing. Every time I go to see my man, he's in there calibrating weapons.
It's his best life.
I love forcing my game to be more fun and pretty. Literally so true. Me with Dragon Age. Oh, I should mention, I forgot to mention this. I made a note of it and then I forgot it anyway. On my slide for Dragon Age earlier, the faces, screenshots of faces are from the, thank you for the follow, Anthony. I like that you subscribed before you followed. That's really iconic.
Amazing.
The faces were from the unique face textures for companions mod on the Nexus. I think it has one of my favorite Alistair faces. He just looks so cute. And it's all very good. I should make a mod pack for Dragon Age Origins, to be honest, and post it on Discord or something. Okay. Eli.
Yeah, so this game is actually not, like, completely new to me this year, simply because I have played the first chapter of this game many a time. That's because, so way back in the day when my siblings and I all shared one iPhone for whatever fucking reason, my parents were just like, we're like, you guys all go to school together, there's no reason for you guys to have separate phones. So we all shared one jailbroken iPhone that we would occasionally just put games onto. And there was a jailbroken, someone had taken, Ghost Trick, the mobile version, but they could only get the first chapter onto it for this jailbroken version. So I played it.
Pirated software translation.
Yeah, and I played it fucking just like over and over and over again. And then I was like, right, I have a 3DS. I can just like play the game. And like everyone was talking about Ghost Trick, so I was like, yeah, I should actually play it. I played this on a plane ride to the Philippines because I took a trip for the first time in like a decade, which also about a decade ago when I had gone to the Philippines, I had played like a bunch of Ace Attorney. So I was like, let's just do another Shu Takumi thing and play Ghost Trick. Again, this is one of those things where like I really don't want to spoil the plot because the plot is so fucking incredible, but also just like, man, Ghost Trick is so good. It also the story takes place in one night, and so I also was like, well, I'll just play it during this like one incredibly long flight that I have. Oh my god. Also feels insane to play a game and have it your length of playtime be the exact length of time that happens in the story, because you feel very connected to the characters in that way. I feel like it really just imprinted itself on me this year for that, and then also just like it really is as good as everybody says it is.
Awesome. That's very exciting. I know it just came out on Steam, right? That's why everyone's like talking about it now, like it came to PC or something.
I think it was on Switch.
Okay, yeah.
Probably.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't remember because I don't do game announcements so good.
So when you played it this year, did you play it on that jailbroken iPhone or?
No, God, we don't have that anymore. We gave that to a cousin. I did play it on my 3DS, which is sort of jailbroken in its own way.
We love jailbroken 3DS. All right, Alex.
Final Fantasy
game, yeah.
Yeah. So Final Fantasy VII Remake. Final Fantasy VII is kind of iconic. I've never actually played Final Fantasy VII, the original.
Wow.
Right. I've not played any Final Fantasy games. So
when I was a kid, I had an Xbox and we had a PS2 and we had like 2 games on it, and neither of them were Final Fantasy VII.
Just fair.
A game that originally came out on the PS1, I'm pretty sure. But I'd never played Final Fantasy VII, and I hadn't really played much Final Fantasy at all until I played like 14 and found of all the MMOs out there, I think 14's the best MMO.
Wow.
But not even going to go anywhere with that right now. But yeah, Final Fantasy VII Remake. I've vaguely always been aware of the baseline plot of Final Fantasy VII.
Right.
But playing the remake actually made me realize why people fell in love with this stuff.
Okay.
They know what they're doing. And minor spoilers for anybody who hasn't played it. It's not actually just telling the story the same way again, and it's doing kind of like a Groundhog Day thing. It seems like where they're actually physically replaying the story, and some of them might be aware that they're replaying the story.
Oh, cool.
So there's a hook for you, by the way, if you're just like, I played Final Fantasy VII, I don't need to touch this. It's not quite the same, and it's fascinating going back and seeing the thing that so many people basically crafted their own identities out of. There are people who still aren't over Final Fantasy VII, right? Like, so getting to actually see that and interact with the characters, and they did some great things, like the whole cloud and drag thing they had a lot of fun with, to the point where, like, I feel like someone handed some developers this game and let them go nuts and actually enjoy themselves. The combat's snappy and great, and I love it. And I've never played a turn-based Final Fantasy VII or Final Fantasy, and I may still never play a turn-based Final Fantasy because I actually really like the action-y ones. They're just a lot of fun. Mostly just because I'm not that big on Final Fantasy's more slow burn setup normally.
Yeah.
And then having it be turn-based is like put me to sleep.
It's turn-based is pretty rough sometimes.
Sometimes. I mean, I got some turn-based games I'm gonna go off and love in a couple slides, but right now, the turn-based Final Fantasy VII's never pulled me.
I'm trying to get into
Final Fantasy
VII right now. The turn-based combat is making it kind of difficult sometimes.
Yeah.
That's awesome. This game is super interesting to me, and I feel like if I was ever gonna play a Final Fantasy game, this would probably be the one that I played.
Yeah, this is I think if you wanted to get the Final Fantasy, like the iconic Final Fantasy experience, this is probably one of the better ones to pick. At least for the kind of newer, less fantasy inspired and more like kind of grunge, like I don't even know what you call it. It's like future punk. It's not quite steampunk, but it's not like
diesel punk.
Yeah, it's kind of like diesel punk.
Yeah.
That era of them is pretty good. You know, I've heard good things about some of the other ones, but if you just need a newer one to play, this is it, right? It's probably better than playing 15.
I can't get into that.
Yeah.
So interesting because my one friend who loves Final Fantasy loved the new one. Like he loved Final Fantasy 15. It was like his game of the year. So maybe later. Or is 16 the one that came out this year?
16 is the one that came out this year. 15,
okay, never mind.
15 was the boy band in the limousine.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about that one.
15 was weird.
It's not. It's fine. Heart.
Yeah.
Positivity.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go. All right. Best art direction. This is pretty self-explanatory. But like just best like not like prettiest game necessarily, but like most like the game. I think my thinking with this category was like the game that goes hardest on its aesthetic and like offers something unique with that aesthetic. That's how I approach it. You guys may approach it from a different angle, but for me, my favorite of the year was Slay the Princess. This game's crazy. Like you can look at this and see what I'm talking about, but this game has such a texture to its visuals. And I mean, the reason that it has that texture, at least in part, is the fact that it was drawn entirely on physical paper and scanned into a computer. Like this is pencil on paper drawing, so it has that. It has that texture. And I think that just they took this look and they really went for it. And I think the designs of the different princess forms are crazy. Like they're so cool. Like you can kind of see like bottom left some of the various ones and then to the right. But even when she's like in her primary form, just the subtle changes that she makes, like it just expression for it, like it's a visual novel. Like it's just showing you pictures. There's not like any animation or anything, but I think like she comes to life in such a a beautiful way. The drawings just have such motion and like emotion to them too. I think it's incredible. I really recommend this game. It was probably my second favorite story of the year. I thought the writing was beautiful. And I loved everything about this game. I'm probably gonna 100% it next year. Because I think it's just so impressive on every level. Like, it takes what it wants to do and it achieves it in leaps and bounds. The clash between the foreground and the lack of background really emphasizes the details in a way where the art could have gone very poorly. I'm thrilled about it from everything I've seen. Yeah, it's just incredible. Like, it's I could look at this game forever. I do recommend anyone who hasn't played it to go play it themselves rather than like watch someone else play it, because I think you get far more out of the story if you have control of it. To the point, I saw a thing where the developers said they would prefer people pirate it over watching someone play it for the first time.
Wow.
Yeah. The devs seem really cool also. But yeah. Yeah, that's Slay the Princess.
I do really want to play this. I saw a bunch of previews for it, and
the
voice of the narrator is like Johnny Sims, so
yeah, he does a great job too. He's not just the narrator, he's like every male voice in the game. He does like 20 of them. It's
good
bizarre.
Wow.
Eli, we can set up family sharing and you can play it off my account.
Tucking my hair behind my ear.
Well, because you need to play in Stars in Time too.
Yes, I do.
All right, Eli, your art direction game.
South Scrimshaw.
Tell me
Holy
what this
shit,
is.
This game is so... Yes, okay. So this is a weird game that my close friend Everett showed me that is basically... It is a visual novel that is supposed to be a documentary called South Scrimshaw about an alien planet in which there are these whales. It's sort of like an aquatic planet, and these whales kind of like build up a bunch of debris around them. There's like their whole kind of like animal like ritual of like building these is kind of like a coming of age point, and they all have different kinds of ecologies, and like it is a visual novel, so you are just clicking through mostly and reading about the different kinds of details you're interested in. Things like it'll pull up like, here's like a couple choices of like, you can just like watch this part of the documentary that's about like the kinds of like, you know, beneficial relationships that are between the parasites that live on these whales, or you can just like kind of go off and talk about like the actual physical materials. It's so cool, and it's got the most gorgeous art ever. This person, Nathan O. Marsh, who is illustrating this, similarly does watercolor, and a little bit of digital illustration went into this, but it is largely scanned in watercolor and gouache, and it's, again, like, even just from the cover thing, like, you can see how incredibly detailed the art is here. It's like
awesome.
One person making all of it and compositing it and writing these like incredible sci-fi world building pieces. God, oh my god, it's like so horrifically up my alley. I like could not believe that this even exists, because it's just like, oh, it's literally just a game where you like listen to somebody talk to you about these like this like ecosystem of whales.
It's like someone like took the things that you like out of your brain and made a video game out of it.
Yeah, and it's like, it just also is like, there are so many moments where you do feel like you really are watching like a documentary. Like it feels real, like when you're in it, and part of that is because the art is just like really that gorgeous. I'm just like obsessed with it.
We're being attacked. Holy fuck, we're under attack.
Raids.
Whoa,
we're being raided. Hi.
Rangers,
oh my god, 2 raids. Oh my god,
we're
fucking under attack. Hi. Oh my god. Hi guys. Hi raiders. Thank you for raiding. Hang on, let me do. Oh my god.
A subscription too.
Thank you. Oh my god. Shout out. Guys.
Gee.
Hi. Oh my god. I really appreciate that, Devin, Pablo. How'd you guys' stream go? You were playing. Oh, I need to do my actual. Does my actual shout out work today? Sometimes my actual shout out from Nightbot doesn't work. It works today.
Oh.
Lethal Company. How was Lethal Company? I don't know anything about that game. People really like that game.
Oh, I just started playing it because Anthony wanted me to play it, and all I do, similarly with the South Skirmish thing, all I do is run around and scan creatures.
You did mention that. Oh, you guys, I assume, were streaming together. Hi, welcome in, Raiders. My name is Charlie, my pronouns are he, him. I'm a variety streamer. This is kind of a weird one. We're doing a special Game of the Year stream where we're talking about, I'm here with my friends Eli and Alex. And we're doing a special Game of the Year stream where we talk about all the things that we played this year that we really, really loved. Welcome in, Devin, Pablo. If you guys need to go, go and de-stream, it's kicking you out. Sorry. No.
Thanks for raiding. Get out of here.
Obviously, you're welcome to stick around. But if you guys need to go de-stream, totally understandable. Thank you for bringing your community over here and trusting me with them and all the things that people say when they get raided. I'm very bad at this. But yeah, we are currently on our we're currently discussing our picks for best art direction of the year. My choice was Slay the Princess, and now we're talking about Eli's choice, which is South Skirmish. Was there anything else you wanted to say about it?
Yes. So this game is free. You can literally just go grab it on Steam. But if you want to support the artist, who again does all of this really, really gorgeous stuff on their own, there's also an art book that's like $15 on itch, and it's again, so my god, it's crazy how beautiful it is.
I bet. Just looking at these screenshots, it's amazing.
Yeah, I was just when I was putting the PowerPoint together for this, I was just scrolling through Google Images of this game, wow, Jesus Christ.
It's so cool.
All right, Alex, your best choice for art direction was
Aged Through Blood. Holy Christ! Awesome. Look at this.
Yes.
Look at this screenshot on the right. Oh my god. Okay, so immediately when I saw the trailer for this game, I don't think it even had gameplay, and I was just oh my god, yes. Because this art style, what it keeps reminding me of is the 80s era of animation. Particularly the birds, for whatever reason, make me think of the 1977 movie Wizards. Because in Wizards, there's the whole plot line of the fantasy versus the mutated super fascists, and the super fascists look like the birds.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, that just instantly hooked me. And then it turned out to be a really good game that I can't play because it's so tough.
Oh.
Because it's a great game.
It's a Motorvania.
Yeah. So it's a Metroidvania, but the premise is essentially you're playing I don't know if y'all remember and these are kind of old. In the same way, it's also kind of harkening back to older games. There were older games that were all about being on your BMX motorbike and trying to not tilt yourself over and fall off your bike and die.
Yeah.
And Trials in the 360 era, the Trials games. And it's that, but also you're fighting bosses with your gun, and you have a parry, and you backflip to reload the parry, I want to say, and then you front flip to reload your gun.
Awesome.
Yeah, you only have one bullet, right? And you have to do awesome motorcycle flips to reload it.
You get different guns, and they reload in different ways. Okay. So there's a crossbow that fires 8 shots at once, but you have to reload all 8 shots one at a time to fire.
Oh, Jesus!
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, so this game is all style, and I love it, and I can't play it because it's tough, because you don't get lives, and if you flip the bike wrong and fall on your head, you just die.
Yeah.
So it's a tough game, and it's asking you to be really good at it. And I'm not necessarily really good at it.
And yeah, so Audrey, you play as the Mama Coyote, and you're trying to take care of her little baby daughter that she has.
I played the demo for this, and I got through the opening, and you meet the cub, which is your little daughter, and it's It broke my fucking heart. It's so good. Everything about like I want to play it so bad, but also like I don't have right now. I'm not in the flow state that I could like maintain the twin sticks and doing it all correctly.
And it's the kind of game where you wouldn't even want to necessarily watch someone play it for the story because it looks just so fun to play that I feel like you would just want to go play it.
The backing music, which I'm pretty sure is all by the same artist, and I don't know the artist, and I wish I did, but the backing music they use is really great, and they do this really good job of, like, you find a tape deck, and you're like, because this is all in a post-apocalypse, so you're, like, finding cassettes that have the tracks that you're listening to, and they're just really
awesome.
Everything about, like, from, like, an artistic style perspective is just grade A. It's firing on all cylinders, and I love it.
I gotta get in on this. And then do really bad at the gameplay.
I think you would like it. So as someone who stopped playing Hollow Knight within 2 seconds because I thought it was too hard, I played part of the demo of this. It's hard, but it's like doable. Like you can, if you played Hollow Knight, you can play this.
Okay.
Yeah, and like I said, I just have to be in like the right state to play it, because the thing that it kind of has over Hollow Knight in terms of being difficult is it asks you to kind of be conscious of the twin sticks and how they interact, because one stick is managing like where you're pointing the gun and the other stick is managing where the bike is tilted, and you have to be paying attention to both very carefully, because like if you screw up the bike you'll fall on your head and die, but if you're not shooting your enemies they're going to shoot you back and you're going to die.
I will also say, add to that just to kind of soothe some anxieties, it has very generous checkpoints. When you die, you probably won't be losing more than like 10 minutes progress.
It's kind of like playing a, like, if you ever played like Hotline Miami, and you know how Hotline Miami is very like solving the puzzle of how to beat this one room. It's a lot of that, solving the puzzle of how to like beat this particular configuration of birds or this particular boss.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Our next category is Best Sad Puppy. This one probably requires the most explanation out of any of our categories. So, a sad puppy, this is a phrase that I've stolen from Justin McElroy and Griff McElroy and their friends on the video game podcast, The Besties. This is a thing that Justin McElroy says a lot. But a Best Sad Puppy is a game that we loved this year and that we feel very affectionate towards for whatever reason, but that does suck and is broken. So like it's a game that you look at and you're like, I'm sad that this game isn't as good as I want it to be. I'm sad that there's something like broken about this game.
There's something flawed about this game that is problematic and makes it not something I could actually recommend to someone.
Yes. So my best sad puppy of the year is Coral Island. Oh boy. This game is very good in a lot of aspects. Let me look at my notes for this one. She's got a lot of problems, and we will talk about them later because Coral Island was my pick for a different category that we will get to. But it's so unique among farming sims. I think if you love farming sims, you should play Coral Island in a year. Because I can't really recommend it in its current state. If you already have it, yeah, play it. Because a lot of people bought it in early access or through the Kickstarter or whatever. Yeah, absolutely, play it. I wouldn't recommend new people buy it until it's had a little bit more dev time. And I'm very confident that it will get to where it wants to get eventually. And I think it's worth playing. It's so pretty to look at, and it's so, like, nice. And I really think it's wonderful to have this farming sim that isn't just taking the same like vaguely Western European like aesthetics that so many other farming sims have, and like and even like fantasy farming sims,
not just another Stardew clone, and it's also not just another Harvest Moon clone.
Yes, so it's made by a team in Indonesia, so it takes a lot of those like aesthetics and like fruits and like plants and things that grow there, and like animals that you would see in those areas. There's a lot of like the farming sim staples, but like there's a lot of unique and like really wonderful flair to it, and the cast of the town is so like lovely and diverse, and there's problems with the writing that I will talk about later, but I think like I think it's got such a good foundation that it's going to get there eventually. I've had some wish just for so long that I'm genuinely so worried about the gameplay. Yeah, I'd wait 6 months. Because it's not just that the gameplay is incomplete, which it is, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I have not personally experienced any bugs with the game, like any major bugs. I have heard about serious game breaking bugs from other people that make me hesitant to recommend it in its current state. All right, Eli, your best sad puppy was
Apico. This game is really fun, and again is one of those games that it sounds entirely up my fucking alley, because it's like, it's a game where you collect and raise bees. Come on, that's so me. And it's like enjoyable and also just like really just kind of dumb the way that you can do stuff. It's like the game is like not very good at like, okay, so there's like characters, right? And you like want to talk to those characters and shop for things. And shopping for things means you have to like raise bees and like sell your bee products and stuff. This is what you would consider the typical gameplay kind of flow. You raise your bees, you sell some stuff to those people, you buy new things. This is how a game works.
Yes,
unfortunately,
this is gaming.
The fucking you can just like take items from people that just like completely like you can just do whatever the fuck, because the game does not make distinctions between like items that should technically be owned by like a person in the game and you can just steal it, no consequence. Yeah, and I like found that out by accident because I wanted to, buy a bed or something, so and then like get a bench so that because there are some bees where you have to either be sleeping or sitting near the hive when they're being born for them to like activate. And while I was doing that, I accidentally used like the hammer tool and just picked up the person's fucking bed, and I was like, well, I guess I have a bed now. And I realized you can just yeah. So you can just fucking rob everybody blind. It does not matter. Like there are items that are supposed to be like, oh, this is like a later stage thing you need to have unlocked however many bees to get it. Except no, you don't, because the guy just has it as a decor, so you can just pick it up and put it in your fucking farm. Like the thought process good, the actual gameplay, it's like why did nobody thought about
this? That is so funny. Beekeeping and burglar game with Anna. Yeah. That's so good.
It does feel like I'm robbing everybody, but it's like it is also charming. I really do like this game, and it is fun to play, but it's like it feels like there's not really much of a progression because you can just take items that are important to late game.
Well, see, this game is a moral test, so like there's nothing stopping you from stealing, but except the eyes of God watching.
Yeah.
He'll know.
Also, he'll know. The other thing, also, there's a bee religion in this game. Sorry, I almost completely forgot. So bee God will also know. But so this game also has co-op to it, and it's kind of fun, but it was also incredibly janky. Like I really don't think that it works well at all to be co-op. And it's unfortunate because it seems like it'd be a fun little thing to just like idly play with your friend, except every time it will just remove one item or like not know how to load in some pretty major things sometimes. So I don't think the co-op is ready at all. But it's like, if you want to just like chill with the game, this is like a really like it's a very mindless task. It's almost cookie clicker like. So
I do love cookie clicker. All right, Alex, your best sad puppy?
Rogue Trader. Okay. So I'm going to talk about this in some other categories because I actually do really enjoy this game. It's great. Rogue Trader is like, they made an RPG for the Warhammer 40k setting in 2009, and they took that system and made an actual video game out of it. And for the first time in your goddamn life, you could sit down with Warhammer 40k and do the RPG thing with it, which you haven't been able to do. Every 40k game is like just an action game with 40K as the backdrop.
Mm-hmm.
But in a 5-act game, you stop at Act 3 because when you get to Act 4, all the companion quests bug out and break and stop working.
Oh, no.
Every single one. Imagine
Yikes.
Baldur's Gate 3, but you got to Act 3 and the whole thing just stopped.
Jesus.
And it kind of did with Baldur's Gate 3, but nowhere near as bad as this.
We'll talk about that later.
And we'll talk about that
I
later.
don't think we forgot about you, Baldur's Gate 3.
But that does also mean Rogue Trader gave me a moment to kind of reflect on what I don't like about Baldur's Gate 3, which I will talk about later. Because they're very similar stories. They came out, they released, and the first 2 acts were solid and great and everything, and then you got past that, and stuff starts breaking and stop working, and plot threads just kind of dead end for no reason. In this case, it's not for no reason. It's because this door just doesn't open because there's a bug that keeps it from opening.
Oh my god.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, it was great. I was following a companion quest, and there's like a fight that triggers when you try to enter a door, and I beat the fight, and then I clicked the button to try to enter the door again, and then the fight triggered again, but like none of the monsters spawned.
What?
So I could just sit there and have the cutscene play, but nothing happened.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so like
it's
the storytelling and writing in this game is so good, but
Who developed it?
damn, Owlcat, the same people that made the Pathfinder
love them.
RPGs, and I enjoyed them a lot too. And apparently this is kind of a pattern with them. They rush their game out and release it, and you're supposed to wait 3 months to play it.
Come on, that's not. We gotta stop fucking doing that.
And we gotta stop doing this, guys, because it's kind of the same thing with Baldur's Gate 3, where they finally put a release date and let out Act 2 and 3, and then like you weren't supposed to play those yet. You were supposed to wait 3 months while they patched it.
Yeah.
We gotta stop doing that, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my piece on Rogue Trader as a sad puppy.
All right.
Yeah.
Best story. All right. My best story game. So this is a game that came out, I think, sometime in 2022, or I think it came out in 2022. I picked it up and started playing it in December of 2022, but I've been playing it like kind of on and off throughout 2023 repeatedly because it's a game where you have to play it over and over again. And I Was a Teenage Toxicologist. I love this game. It's like very quickly become one of my favorite games of all time. And the thing that made me like want to pick it for this is, so I was doing a playthrough of it a while ago because I'm trying to 100% it, which is quite the task, because there's like 40 endings and you have to get all of them. But I was playing through it, and I have. Let me very quickly open Steam and tell you how many hours I have in this game. It's not like a super long game. You can complete a playthrough of it in, what would you say,
Not a day,
Alex?
like 8 hours
Yeah.
tops. Because
eight hours.
because I remember my first playthrough, I sat down with it one day and just played through it straight.
I have
And then
75
immediately
hours.
played
in
it,
this game.
started another run.
Ooh.
And so I've played it through probably 10 times. And I realized I was playing it and I was like, I haven't seen any of this before. Like, it is not a game that up front is like, oh, we have, 80 hours of content in this game, and it doesn't, I mean, when I was doing those 10 replays, there was a lot of content I already seen before, but I was doing a thing that I'd never done before, which was I was focusing on like martial skill and like, combat and hanging out with this fucking clown on the far right. Don't even talk about him. He's such a jerk.
It's a little fascist, and there's no excusing him.
Literally is. But I was getting through it, and I was like, I haven't seen any of this content because this is just an area of the game I have never gone into, and it's just wild. And there's so many endings, and it's like there's good endings that you can get without doing the game perfectly. Like there's like I assume like an ultimate like good ending, like where you fix everything and whatever, but you don't like. I appreciate that there's game
appreciable endings. That, like you get to them and you're like, no, I like this outcome. This is a good
endings
outcome.
Of this game where your character lives a full life, like full of love, surrounded by friends that, despite like the hardships of it, is a good life, and that's not even like the best ending.
Yeah,
Wow.
like no, that's something I really appreciated too. Was just the fact that like, yeah, sure, there's the bad ending where you die at like because the game ends when you're 18, 19, and
20.
the little epilogue says you die at like 25 because you
Yeah.
just were
Gee.
always fighting the monsters.
Yeah.
But then yeah, there's just great little epilogues where it's like, no, you were just a dude who did his thing and you loved it.
Yeah, this game, and also I think this game is so normal about like being trans. Just throwing that out there, because your character, you can pick like appearance, which really only affects like hair length. P.S. Always pick a feminine appearance because the long hair looks the best in all of the ending like drawings.
Yeah, no, they look great.
You can pick whatever pronouns, and it's just so the basic setup. I've kind of gotten ahead of myself here, but the basic setup of this game, for anyone who doesn't already know, is that your parents and a lot of their friends were in this kind of like hippie commune on Earth, which it's set in the future, and Earth has gone to shit. Like, wealth inequality has gotten like incredibly bad, and climate change is very bad, and everything is very, very bad on Earth. So they steal technology from like a technology company to build a spaceship and get off of Earth, and you crash land on this alien planet after going through a wormhole. So there's a lot going on, and what happens is you realize your character, this is a time looping game, but every loop is a full playthrough. So it's not the type of time looping game where you're going to loop like 100 times, you know. You're going to play this game completely through, and then your character is going to die of whatever they die of, whether it's at a young age or at a very old age. And eventually you are going to restart, and they are going to be aware of the fact that they've restarted. So there's things that happen on the first playthrough that you cannot avoid that are very, very sad. Like, one of your friends dies the first year that you're on the planet when you're all 10 or like whatever.
Oh,
and it's very sad.
It's traumatic.
Yes. And it's horrible, but then you can save them the next year because you know that that's going to happen. You can also choose not to, which I think is hilarious. But
it's great because it's like an option that gets presented to you, and it's like you have the flashback and realize you can go save the kid, but you're like, no, fuck that, I want to go get candy, and you go get candy.
It's just like, do I want to save this person?
No, I want cotton candy. Bye. And I think the thing that I kept coming back to with this game was it's so empathetic. You spend so much time with these characters because you crashed on this planet when you're 10, and you grow up with these kids. So you see all these are all your friends once they become hot adults.
Yeah.
But you grow up with these kids, you know, you see them as like little kids, and then you see them as like adolescents, and then these like are their adult forms. And as spoiler free as possible, 3 of these characters you don't actually meet at the beginning. You meet them in adolescence later, because they come from somewhere else. But yeah, and as you might be able to tell by the fact that we have like a girl with elf ears and a guy with dog ears, all of your friends have some kind of like weird genetic enhancement of some variety. So like you got this is Rex. I love Rex. He is great.
He's part dog.
He's part dog.
Good for him.
Like, everyone has a unique genetic defect that has been introduced on purpose.
Yes.
And so, for whatever reason, their parents made him a dog.
Because I think he says it's like fashionable at that point in time to have like people who are part animal.
That might, yeah.
There's a little girl in your colony who's part cat.
Oh, which one is that?
Anemone's little sister.
Oh yeah.
And then everyone has like super weird names because it's like the
Everyone's
future.
name is weird, and like they're all science references, which makes a couple of their names, when you realize what they are, extra. One's parents did not love them, and it shows in their name.
Yeah, there's a character whose full name means like sadness.
Their full
name
name
named you that when you were born. That's fucked.
Their
Damn.
full name is like I want to say like literally one of the scientific terms for depression.
Yeah.
Oh my
Like,
god.
Yeah.
But no, so like, and it's just like I love these characters, and I think the game is so empathetic towards them, and even when they're making bad decisions, there's no one in this game who the game is like, this person is like reprehensible and like cannot be like, has no redeeming like there's nothing worthwhile in this person as a human being.
It's really good at doing that in ways where you might think
Mhm.
that on your first playthrough, and you
Yeah.
learn why that's not true later.
Yeah. Me, when I go on TikTok and say the names of the most bizarre meanings actually sound pretty when you really think about it. Yeah. This is your friend Cal, for example. His full name is Recalcitrant. And he can never be hot or cold. He is always the perfect temperature. That's his genetic enhancement.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love these characters. I love this game. I really recommend it to everyone. It's got a great story that's just so great to dig into. And it's beautiful to look at. This could have easily been my like top art like direction of the year too.
Oh, it's so good.
And it's a deck builder, by the way, if anyone's curious with the actual gameplay.
Oh, and I love the way it works as a deck builder, because it's you're collecting memories, and the cards are the memories you've experienced throughout your life. It's great. Particularly because sometimes there's some not great memories that turn into bad cards you don't want to draw, and I love that.
All right. I think I've talked for long enough about this game, so I will move on to Eli, your top story game of the year.
This one. Ghost Trick. I already talked about how much I like the story in this, and I really don't want to spoil it, but just to kind of lavish more praise onto it, there is a really, really major twist. Like, obviously it's a detective game, and so one of the central mysteries is, you know, why someone is trying to kill Lynn, who is the character with red hair. And also, main character does not know who he is. Like, prior to his death, he just like has no fucking memories of like who he was as a person. And so yes, and so a major part of the game is him trying to figure out who he was also, and trying to make decisions whether he wants to pursue figuring out his identity or protecting this girl, you know. Forms a really interesting storyline. There's so many, like, there's a bunch of characters, obviously you can see all of their storylines intersect in totally weird, unexpected, delightful ways. Every character is like equally important to this like really strange, massive story. And like, of an 18 chapter game, like, I replayed this game a couple times because I just like, I wanted to go back and like read the dialogue more carefully and stuff. Of an 18 chapter game in which basically the first reveal is like you have no idea who you are as a character, by chapter 7 technically you have all the clues to tell you who you are as a character, which is really incredible, cool foreshadowing. That you like, by all accounts and purposes, by chapter 7 it is technically possible to figure out who you are.
But you're not gonna until you get
But you're not gonna fucking do that. You're too busy dragging the points on a screen.
No, I love that kind of foreshadowing where you don't pick up on it, and you know, it actually, you get hit with the twist, but then you go back and you're like, how did I not notice?
Yeah, it's incredible, and also the dialogue really carries the story in a way that like feels, it's a weird world in which it's like, yeah, when you die you get special powers, and your special power is rewind the clock, and also you can move things a little. Also, the first thing that ever tells you that is a ghost that I guess lives inside of like a lamp that's in this dumpster. Cool, keep going, that's the story. And you go, okay. But for having,
don't worry about it.
yeah, similar to Ace Attorney, and I think this is something I like about Shu Takumi, is like, not only does he have like the just like really marvelous, incredible skill as a storyteller to foreshadow things far in advance. Like, especially when I think about like Phoenix Wright's original trilogy, like he was foreshadowing stuff that he was like, well, I kind of knew that was going to happen if we made a sequel, so I was like, oh, I'll just like, you know, throw it in, and it makes these like incredible stories. Ghost Trick is like, yeah, Ghost Trick is like kind of like the culmination of a lot of that, and also despite its ridiculousness of the original premise, which again, this is like a Shu Takumi thing, despite the ridiculousness of an original premise, which is like, you know, you're a fucking ghost and also you look like this fucking guy, like God,
This fucking guy.
him.
That's such a good description. There's never been a more this fucking guy.
And despite all that, the dialogue and like the reasons for, you know, characters doing things are so incredibly grounded in like real human motivations, and also it makes you feel just incredible amounts of like how people move through grief in different ways. That's like one of the real strengths of the story, is like, look how fucking ridiculous every character looks in here, and yet you get this like really massively beautiful story about how like grief like echoes through a bunch of different people. Like the decision somebody makes in like a split second can like cause grief for years and years after. It's so fucking good. Please, everybody, please play Ghost Trick.
I really ought to pick it up, because yeah, I've watched some playthroughs of Ace Attorney, and every now and again, between the like people mauling at how frustrating that game can be, it has these great story beats.
Yeah.
Yeah, you sold me. I'll pick this one up for sure.
Yeah.
Yay! Everybody
right.
playing Ghost Trick.
Alex, your favorite story of the year was
Rogue Trader!
This might not be able to finish it.
So I did actually go back and finish it.
Okay.
I left a note in our notes that like I was not able to get through Act 4, but I decided to just say, screw it, I'll not worry about the companion quest, and I'll at least see where the plot goes. So that if I'm going to make this recommendation, I'm not going to make it going, well, and then in the 5th act, it just completely loses its mind anyway, so even if the bugs were fixed, it's still bad. No, it's great the whole way through, minus the bugs, which again, like, big caveat here, if you really want to play this, wait 3 months or 6 months and let them fix the bugs and then play it. But, yeah, a point I was making earlier, Rogue Trader, or Warhammer as a setting, is a big, big lore book that not a lot of people actually get to play with, like in terms of just telling cool stories. Sure, there's a lot of Black Library books out there, and there's some really good ones. I can recommend basically anything Dan Abnett wrote. But you very rarely in the video game space especially get to actually sit down and like get to read blocks of text or even experience characters in this world being characters and not just plot devices for the action game you're playing. Because like you can go play Warhammer 40k Space Marine and cool, you're a big old Space Marine, but you're not the average Imperial citizen. You're not a dude with a gun. And
right.
Rogue Trader, its main story is still kind of action schlock. I could walk you through it in about 5 seconds, and it's really basic. But what you do get to do is sit down with Warhammer characters and ideas and see them in action. So like you don't just get to hear the Adeptus Mechanicus are crazy tech priests, meaning they're priests obsessed with technology. You get to actually see what that looks like.
Yeah.
And explore it and talk to it. And that sold me very quickly when I was playing through Act 1. And Act 1's kind of the prologue before you get to explore the world as a Rogue Trader, because Rogue Traders are like, the Imperium of Man's very like, keep everyone ignorant and in the dark and like abhor everything that isn't like the Imperium. So abhor every alien, mutant, xeno, heretic, and all that. But Rogue Traders kind of get the writ to actually interact with that world and not just kill it. So you get to make decisions that most people wouldn't get to make, because if they made that decision, the commissar behind them would put a bullet in their back. And you get to actually kind of see that world. And Warhammer 40k is a satirical parody that was meant to make fun of like Margaret Thatcher. So there's a lot of chuds who never got the satire. And that's gonna poison just about all the discussion that goes on in this. But you get to actually pretend to be a good guy in this world that normally has no good guys. And even then, it's just really... Every now and again, a good Warhammer 40k game comes out, and this is one of them.
I love that.
Yeah. That's really all I'm going to say without just ranting about nothing for hours.
All right, we're going to do best character, and then we're going to do an ad break. So I mean, no rush. We can snooze the ad break.
Hmm.
But so my best character of the year is Cyprin from In Stars and Time. I love this little bitch.
He seemed great when I watched you play this.
So imagine if you were just a gay, non-binary rogue.
I'm imagining it.
And you've got these friends, and you're off to save the world. So it Stars in Time, it's like, it's an RPG. It's like inspired by Earthbound. It's like an RPG Maker game. But it starts at the end of the RPG. So like, your characters are already level like 40, and you've gone on this huge adventure together, and you're on your last day of the adventure. You're going to fight the final boss, and then you realize you're time looping. So like every time Cyprin dies, he like restarts the loop. So like imagine that, and you're in this situation, you're this character, but you also have incredible self-worth issues. And what time loops enable you to do is think about how bad you fucked up on that last loop and really beat yourself up over it.
Oh no.
So Cyprin will be like, man, this is like my 10th loop, and then I fucked up so many times. I got killed by a falling rock. I missed those keys on those 2 floors. If it wasn't for these time loops, then we'd just be dead. That sucks. I suck. This is horrible. I haven't finished this game, but I really like Cyprin. I think they're so interesting. And the art's beautiful, obviously. This could have also been another contender for like art direction. But just, I think everything about this game is so, at the outset, like so lovable, and then as you get deeper into it, you really start to feel this frustration with the time loop, which is intentional, obviously. I don't think that this is like a badly made game at all. But I think that you really get into Cyprin's head as you play through it, and it's not a great place to be. But you know, you'll get through it. And I really like this guy. Just a little guy. Look at him.
Yeah.
Look at his big wizard hat that he doesn't need to be wearing because he's not a wizard.
Who among us doesn't want to wear a big wizard hat? And as far as I know, none of us are wizards.
This is actually, I think this is incredibly funny for me personally, because this artist who made this game was very big in the Adventure Zone fandom for a long time.
Oh, this tracks. This is Taco.
There has never been a more like in appearance taco coated character. So it's funny, and it's fun, and it's funny that there's like a joke at the beginning about kids like asking if you're a wizard and you being like nope, and they're being like, that's stupid. You should be a wizard.
Why aren't you a wizard?
Yeah, that's Cyprin. Go play In Stars in Time. I'll talk about it a little bit more later because I picked it for a different category also. But all right, Eli, your best character of the year.
Yeah. Okay. I kind of had to stick this one in here, even though I actually haven't played it on Steam for a hot second, but I do demo testing for this game a lot. This is my friend Shoy, or DBTZR. On Steam. This is his game. It's coming out this year. Go wishlist it now. Everyone pull up your Steam and wishlist cycle now. But I really like this game so bad. And it's not just because I've been there since like kind of early development on it, but like Cycle is a game that obviously the title kind of implies this, is about like generational cycles of trauma.
Okay.
Lana is this purple-haired character, the main character, and first of all, lesbians, they're real in this game.
Yay!
Woohoo! Second of all, this is a game that like to me is just like really fascinating, because Lana is kind of going on this journey because many years ago her mother kind of undertook a journey to power this tower that basically is really important to the entire world. But she died, and now Lana is kind of like, well, I would like to go figure out why my mom died, and her kind of girlfriend, Verona, who is the other character that's pictured here, is technically supposed to be the person who is supposed to go relight the tower, and Lana is like, no, I think I'm gonna go do it because I need to find out what happened to my mother. She's a really incredibly grounded character. I love her dialogue. You get a lot of her personality, even in just like the little bits of just how she comments on things. I love Shoi's writing for her because like it is hard, I think, to balance a character who's like so used to their grief because like everybody reminds them like, oh yeah, your mom died basically doing this thing that saved all of us. And it's hard to write that character in a really balanced way, but like Lana to me feels really balanced in the ways that she like handles those, and like when she talks with people who knew her mother, you can like really sense that like undercurrent of sadness and also pride that I really like Lana a lot as a character, and she's just like such a good protagonist. Everybody play Cycle, please, and also wishlist it so you can play it. It's so fun.
Wishlisted.
All right. Alex, your favorite character of the year.
Back onto Rogue Trader some more.
Woohoo! Yeah!
This is the last time I'm going to talk about it besides to trash Baldur's Gate 3, I swear. So I mentioned the idea of tech priests. And they are like a concept that's been in Warhammer for a very long time. Basically, it's so far in the future, everyone's an idiot. To the point where even the people who know how to run your technology don't actually know how to run your technology, because their solution to it's broke is to recite the hymn of maintenance, which is to hit it with a hammer while saying your prayers, right?
That's awesome.
Like,
that's what I do to my computer when it doesn't work.
Like, but imagine an entire religion built around that. And that is the tech priests of Mars are the Adeptus Mechanicus. And Pascal Hanno Newman is one of your companions you can get in Rogue Trader, and he's a tech priest. He's an Archmagos, which is just, it's all words, it doesn't matter. But because he's your companion, he's a great way, he's great to bring along to everything, because the way Owlcat writes their companions, they will interject in conversations and say stuff about your decisions. You don't get a so-and-so approves, so-and-so disapproves at the top right. You're never going to see that in an Owlcat game. They're going to say something or do something. And I really like that about Owlcat.
That's good.
And Pascal's great because the tech priests are great. You'll fuck with a computer and you'll be like, I'm going to press the on button because it's the on button. That's what you would do. And Pascal will nod disapprovingly, but not do anything because you're his boss. Because you didn't recite the hymn of turning on the computer. Like,
oh my god, you need to set your computer prayer before you turn it on. That's so funny.
Yeah, and that is so much what what the tech priests are, and it's great. And just again, having these characters actually be characters instead of plot devices is it makes me fall all the more in love with Warhammer, because I don't play the tabletop board game at all. I just read the books, I play some of the video games, and I love the story world they've created, because it's awful. It's an awful world. But you get to do fun things with that. And having a tech priest who's just there doing the tech priest thing and hitting you with words like Heretech, spelled with a K.
Awesome. Awesome.
Just every 10 minutes, Pascal does something or says something, and it catches me off guard, and I'm like, God, I love this. And that is why I picked him. And a lot of the companions in this game are like that, but Pascal is like that to a T.
Would you say Rogue Trader is a good entry level if you've never interacted with Warhammer before?
I'd say yes, because it's actually when a word pops up that you have no fucking clue what they mean because they just basically threw jargon at you, it's highlighted text and you can click it and it'll bring up a little entry that explains
Pentiment footnotes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, fuck yeah, it is like that.
So for a game, it's not quite as crapsack as sometimes Warhammer can be, and it's not going to be completely shitty to you. It lets you make decisions that let you be a good person in a world where no one is a good person.
Right.
But yeah, it's great as an introductory, honestly, if you like CRPGs. That's the big thing.
Okay.
I'm going to start there. If you don't like CRPGs, I don't know, go play Total War, go play Dawn of War, which was the RTS that Relic made years ago, or play Space Marine because it's just an action game and it lets you see Space Marines be cool dudes. But if you actually want to like interact with the story and the world of Warhammer, this is probably one of the first good games that lets you do that.
All right, awesome. So we're gonna talk about best. This is funny because wait, actually, I can do this 50 seconds.
Yeah, you can rock this.
Yeah. Because neither of us.
Hey, I'm the only person who had a best DLC this year. It's Tunnels of Terror for Back 4 Blood. It makes the game good again. The function of a DLC should be to extend the life of a game, and this did it. It's good. Yeah. Back 4 Blood's really fun. Go play Back 4 Blood. I'll play it with you. Send me a friend request on Xbox or whatever. I'll play. Yeah, I love this game. It's awesome. And Tunnels of Terror just made it like, it's so good. It makes the game like so good to play. And I won't belabor the point. Like, that's all I have to say about it. It's good. It's a great DLC. We're going to talk about best non-console / PC game when I get back. We're going to have a 3-minute ad break. I encourage you guys not to watch it. I encourage you guys to stand up, stretch your legs, go get some tea or coffee or whatever.
Don't let them win.
And don't let them win. But we will be back in 3 minutes. All right.
Oh. Woo!
Yippee. I just realized this is best.
Does it?
Best.
Oops.
Best. Best.
All right, we're back.
Back?
Yippee!
What are we drinking? What's everyone having to drink with this little stream?
Right now, just water.
I'm having black tea with peaches and ginger.
Ooh.
Which I'm having because my stomach's all fucked up.
Oh no.
From the 3 cocktails I had last night. Ooh, really splashing out.
Yeah.
Two of which were vodka and ginger ale, so like they shouldn't.
What? That should have negated any tummy.
I know.
Oh, that's just a vodka tonic. Yeah, that's
dude.
normal.
I hate not being 19 anymore.
Every day I get further away from 19.
For me, it's less alcohol and more like all the fast food that if I eat, I just.
It's probably less the alcohol and more the sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, on to best non-console / PC game. I love that I reviewed this PowerPoint like 4 times and never caught that it said this. Kids, this is why you need an editor. Don't trust your eyes. They can't be trusted.
Your
what
eyes
this
are
is
deceived.
Carbonation can hurt. That's so true. That is true.
Hi, Aaron.
So is this someone you know?
Aaron. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Woo.
So what this is any game that's not like a mainline like console or PC game. So this could have been a mobile game. I don't think any of us picked mobile games, but it could. Oh, actually, you did, Alex. But it could also be like a tabletop. So for me, my best non-console / PC game was Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Oh my god. So
deserved.
I have like notes on this because there's stuff I wanted to say I don't want to forget. So it improves on 1E in basically every way. If you liked 1E, you'll like 2E. Because it's 1E but better. And what I mean by that is that like I don't know, just everything. It's not necessarily even similar in terms of rules because it's not like the rules are quite different to my memory. I haven't played 1E in a very long time.
Well,
but
first edition is like D&D 3.5.
Yes, it feels like playing Pathfinder though. It feels like Pathfinder. It's wonderful, but it's so digestible for new players. Like I introduced a group of people into Pathfinder, and hiccups obviously like there's going to be with any complicated tabletop like new players. But when I say new players, I mean have never played a tabletop before new players. And they did it. They're having such a good time with it. It's such a fun game for new people to be introduced to. But it's also so easy to DM because there's a rule for everything. Like if you're trying to figure out how to do something, there is a rule for it. You don't have to figure things out. And yet somehow it still has room for creativity. Like the movement economy is what I tell people about whenever I'm trying to like get people who are into like D&D or 1E to play Pathfinder 2E, because I think the movement economy, the action economy in a fight is what really intrigues people. Like it's the easiest thing you can bring up to say like, well, consider this, is that instead of having a movement, an action, and a reaction, you have 3 actions and you can use them in any way you want. So you can move 3 times if you wanted to. You can attack 3 times if you want, although you take a penalty on multiple attacks. And you can even, so if you're casting a spell, you can choose to cast it sometimes as a 1-action spell, which is weaker, or as a 3-action spell, which is much stronger, you know, and that's not every spell, but a lot of spells will have that. It's just wonderful. It's wonderful. Also, the elves are space aliens. Take that, D&D. Are your elves space aliens? No, I don't think so. Pathfinder lore is weird. There's like, the reason that magic exists or something is that like an alien planet like crashed. It's strange. It's very strange. I love it. It's weird though. It's awesome. And I'm gonna be DMing a Pathfinder stream on Twitch starting on the 13th. So if you want to see some Pathfinder like real-time play, keep an eye on that.
Get your ass in there.
Woo!
I'll post about it in the Discord. I'll be co-streaming it, so if you just follow me, but you should also follow the person whose stream is actually, it was a reward for one of his things. Kite_FF is the person for whom I am DMing this. It's gonna be great. You guys are gonna love it. All right, Eli,
Yes.
Mall Kid.
Mall Kids. I love this game. This has been, I think, like very consistently since I started playing it back in like, oh my god, I think it like literally 2020, so I've been playing this game for a hot second. Mall Kid's so fun. It is basically just like it's a really simple like tabletop, which is why it's really easy to just pick up and do whenever we have like, downtime when we're playing like another bigger tabletop thing and I'm like, I'm not ready this week. Let's play Mall Kids instead. Um it is basically just like Honey Heist and the like as far as systems go,
Okay.
but like it's also just like Matthew Gravelin, who wrote Mall Kids, wrote a lot of like fun, lovely things into it, and like the little modules that come with it are actually exciting. And I normally actually really hate modules that are written by the people who make the game because sometimes they're just really not good at all. But Matthew Gravelin's are really nice. It's a game that allows for a lot of creativity, and like I usually DM for like really role play heavy groups, so this is just like such a nice like go-to one, and it's silly, and you could have like extended adventures, and yeah, I don't know. There's some really interesting things that happened with my tabletop group this year, and we had a lot of members like come in and out for various kind of like health reasons or like work reasons, and so it was nice to bring people back together to be like, hey, this is like way less commitment time. It's like you can literally just play for like an hour and a half kind of thing. So I feel like this game felt nice because it brought back together a lot of people that I hadn't gotten the chance to play with because they went to law school or they were going through some, like I mentioned, like health issues. Like we could hang out and just like shoot the shit basically and play like dumb teenagers for a little bit.
I love that.
Yeah. Good game.
All right, Alex, I'm fascinated by your answer for this. I'm interested to hear like.
So, the problem is I mostly play computer video games, so I don't have a lot of non. But Wordle like blew up, and I'm actually more thinking of there's a lot of like spin-off Wordles now, like Lodal and which is League of Legends.
Wordle.
Yeah, I included a couple of the most well-known ones.
So for me, it's been a big nostalgia hit because when I was a kid, or like when I was a teenager and going to high school, this is a weirdly specific memory. But every day, our library would print out the newspaper. They copy and print the newspapers, crossword and Sudoku that are like in the back of the newspaper. And I would pick that up, and that would be like my thing to distract myself through the day because no one fucking cares about high school.
Nobody gives a shit.
And for me, Wordle, especially the teachers, God, I took Latin of all things as my secondary language, and the Latin teacher literally did not give a shit. I'm pretty sure he was high every day of the week.
Awesome.
But like something about Wordle and this kind of do your daily thing, but it's just kind of meaningless. Like it's a brain teaser. It's not like, Duolingo or whatever. You're actually trying to learn something. But like just kind of do your daily like meaningless trivia facts. Really connects to me in a weird way because it's nice. It adds a bit of structure to your life to have something that like you get up, you make your morning coffee, you do your Wordle, and then you go do your work day.
I love that.
And something about that just strikes me really at a deeply specific place that I can't explain.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I feel this. I feel similar. It's. I have a hard time keeping up with things like that, but I do whenever I get onto something like that. I love doing like a daily Sudoku for a long time. I mean, I love the Wordle, so I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, and it's honestly something I need to pick back up on doing because like I work remote and I'm really bad about like letting the days literally slide by in a way where like, oh shit, it's Friday, fuck. And stuff like this actually helps keep me a little grounded in that space.
For sure. We should all start doing Wordle again.
But then like Wordle like spun off a lot. A lot of people were like, I'm gonna do Wordle, and it was like, wow, everybody's so creative, but good.
And I put a couple of the most like well-known ones here. So Hurdle is very interesting. Hurdle is, I don't know if you've played that one. It plays like the first like second of a song, and you have to try to guess what the song is.
I'm so motherfucking bad at Hurdle. For
I'm
listening
so
to music,
bad at
I'm
it.
so bad at
And
it.
there's good ones that are like they do screenshots of movies and TV shows. Those are really good.
Oh, yeah, those are
There's
fun.
one that does like screenshots of video games. That's quite fun. There's another one that's video games, but it displays like the cover of a video game and gradually reveals more of it to you until you can guess
There's
it.
one that's sound effects of video games, and that
Ooh,
one's
that
tough.
sounds excellent.
Sounds really hard.
I like sound effects.
is
That sounds fun.
is kind of it's kind of weird. I've seen people play Samantha, so basically you're trying to guess the word by guessing words, and it tells you how like semantically close it is to that other word.
Joined on. So Kite does these every Sunday, and I've joined in on a few of those, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So that's kind of like a more like strange spin-off of Wordle, but yeah.
Essentially, it's doing
Wordle.
like Wikipedia. The Wikipedia click down to how quickly will you get to the actual word.
Yeah.
And there's some interesting ways, because I think the way it's actually working off of is, I want to say, like thesaurus, like abstraction. So if the word is kind, then kindness is like one off from it.
Okay.
Right.
But every word has some degree to which it can be connected like that.
Yeah.
All right. Our next category is best music. And I need to I'm gonna play music while we listen to this. I'm gonna turn up the music a little bit. And I'll start playing. I'll start playing this, and I'll paste this in our chat if you guys want to be able to listen to this also.
Yeah.
But my best music is in Stars on Time.
Yeah.
I will admit, I'm not someone who like usually. I'm not like really good at recognizing the music in games necessarily. Like it's always there and I enjoy it, but like it's not something I usually pay that much attention to. Because I'm not like a huge music person. Like I like music, obviously. Who doesn't like music? Guy who's never heard music before. This is music? Yeah. Oh, it stopped. Oh, it turned off. But no, the music in Stars in Time is so good. The soundtrack was made by Thumpy Puppy, who just did such a great job with it. It's so bouncy and good and evocative of whatever emotions you're supposed to be feeling in that moment. The thing I'm currently playing is the boss theme. I love the boss theme. Anytime it starts playing, I'm just sitting there like bouncing up and down to it because it's so good, dude. I just really like the music in this game. And I'm not someone who can really talk about music with a great degree of like intelligence other than just to say I like it and it sounds good to my ears. But it does, and it is. So I will just say one more thing, which is that the pictures I've included here, you might look at the bottom middle and see my least favorite enemy in the game, which is just feet.
Oh no.
When you hit him, he crouches down, you can see his face.
Oh
so
no.
They go somewhere. I hate this guy.
I assume that's a paper enemy.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I didn't mention this earlier, but I think the combat in this game is so funny. I'm just gonna do a quick, like, aside to that. It's rock, paper, scissors. Every enemy, like, has a specific type that you can identify by what they're doing with their hands. And then your characters all have types. And you all technically have access to, like, the in-world. It's not magic, but it is. It's, like, science magic. It's called craft, and it, like, ties into the specific types and things like that. It's very good. I like it a lot.
Can I also say on the topic of this, because I am a music guy and I do actually also really like the music of this. I think like the part of what makes the music of this so good is like what makes a lot of RPG Maker type games good, which is that they're often pulling from like the era of music where you were really, really struggling to fit however much music you could onto like very limited capacity. And so it kind of recycles a lot of sound fonts, which leads itself to having like leitmotifs, which is cool, and I love that in anything. And like the rhythm of these is really good because also there's like a bunch of different really great tonal work in here, because I really like the bounciness like only really exists because there's this like low thumpy like beat
Yes.
below it. You know what I mean? So
It's
it's like
kind of always going, so you want to bounce along to that.
yeah. And it's so yeah, I don't know. Like I really like the way that the melody lines are constructed in here. It's good shit. And I'm a real sucker for leitmotifs. So whenever it's like, and this is the specific theme for this guy, it's like, oh shit.
This is a silly question. Have you listened to the soundtrack for this before? Or did you just construct that from the like 2-minute song I sent you guys like a minute ago in Discord?
When you were finalizing the PowerPoint, I went and listened to some of the stuff because I was curious about it. But yeah, so I'd only really heard the soundtrack yesterday and today. I just took a listen through it.
Awesome. All right. So let me pull up Alex, or it'll be Eli's first actually. But this requires me to pause because this song is an on spot.
I didn't even realize.
I had to go. Well, there's like versions of it, but not the one from the game.
Oh yeah.
I had to go download it. YouTube.
Awesome. YouTube downloader.
Holy shit, that's loud. Eli.
Oh god. Let's not blast the listeners. Oh my god, I can't stand how much I like Project Diva. I'm like incredibly like good lord. I looked at my Steam like year in review and they were like, you really liked playing this game. And I was like, yeah. I just really like Vocaloid. I've liked Vocaloid for a long time and I've played most of the rhythm games one way or another that Vocaloid has put out. But Project Diva has quite a large selection of them, and it is more accessible for me to play it now on my PC rather than all the kind of weird backwards ways I was playing it. Project Diva, the first one I ever played was the Project Diva released on the PSP, and I like the PSP. It has given me wrist issues in the past, so being able to play on this better. But there is like a wide variety of music in here that is really nice, and it revisits some artists that I feel people are not super familiar with, like the song that's playing.
Music on stream. Hang on. Okay, you guys should be here now. Sorry.
No worries. But the song that's playing is by Scop and is actually kind of a rarer, I feel, Vocaloid song for people to be familiar with, because there's like the staples, and then there's a lot of ones that were just more popular, like on Nico Nico Doga and stuff, that I think now that Project Diva is more playable for people, like you get exposed to these really great songs that I also am just like, I appreciate that a lot of them are also adapted for being able to be played in like roughly the same amount of time, because like again, some of the songs actually that are Vocaloid staples are like 5 minutes long, and so there's some recut versions in here. But I like it a lot, and the Project Diva like sound editing also has like brought a lot of crispness back to the tracks that was not there previously. So like I also am just very appreciative of them like retooling some of the soundtracks so that they sound better and sound I think more like the person probably intended them to. Like there is one song that it's written in Japanese, so I actually don't remember what the English translation is of it, but like that song used to have like a really shitty MIDI sound font on it, and they replaced it with like an actual orchestral one, and this and that is nice.
I love that.
And that's Project Diva.
Slay. Does this song have a train sound in it? I mean,
there's a train, yeah. There's in fact a train.
Because I always get this confused. Project Diva is a rhythm game using Vocaloid music, right? Or is it the thing that you make the Vocaloid music with?
No, Project Diva is the thing that you play rhythm game. The thing you make Vocaloid music with is.
I always forget what that's called, because it's technically kind of marketed like it's a game, but it's more like a game maker's toolkit or like a music making toolkit. And the point of the Vocaloids is that they let you do voices without needing to actually sing the song yourself.
Yes, that's true. I mean, the Vocaloid software is pretty. I mean, it's a digital audio workstation, very similar to other music digital audio workstations. But there's also just a ton of ones that kind of feel like game software. Like,
are you also perhaps thinking of Miku Dance? I was gonna say that.
Well, because Miku is from a Vocaloid software that's for production of music.
Yes.
And then like Diva has Miku, along with the two blonde ones I've seen before. I don't know the other three, unfortunately.
It's Rin, Len, and Luca's the pink one, Mako's the red one, Kaito's the blue one.
Yeah. And like there's some other ones too, I know. And they're all kind of like
There's-
from the same production company who makes the software that makes the songs, and then they also take the good songs and put them in Diva, I think.
Kind of like that, yeah. Like, so tons of producers basically use the Vocaloid software, which is made by Krypton, and then there's like a million billion Vocaloids. These are like what people consider the classic Vocaloids. But yeah, so people will produce songs, and then Krypton kind of like went back and asked people, because those songs are so like iconic to Vocaloid fandom, that they're like, can we put that in the game, because everyone likes that one.
They got Bad Apple in there. That's the one I know.
They do not have Bad Apple, actually, which is because that's actually a Toho song, so it's not originally a thing that is associated, so they'd have to get the rights for Toho stuff also.
I'm gonna say the one Miku song I always remember, I want to say it's called The World Is Mine.
That's right, Sekai!
Is that one in there?
It is in there, and it also has an extremely hard version, which is fun. There's a lot of there's like, you would not believe how fucking hard Japanese rhythm games can be. It's so crazy. They're so hard.
Yeah, no, they're like DDR feels hard, but like no, go play some like Osu or Project D. Like this stuff is like.
I love that video of the guy. I think he's playing Osu, where he is like playing it and banging his head, and he just stands up and shoves his chair back and starts. Dancing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is like that with this too, because like again, certified bangers all throughout, and also just like Project Diva is one of those games where you kind of have to actually practice it as if it's a real musical instrument if you want to clear some of the stages.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Let me get the next music going.
Yippee!
Yeah. We can talk about my song.
Yeah.
The song that plays in repeat every time I'm fighting any boss in any video game in my head.
So Alex, your number one music game of the year.
Armored Core.
Yeah.
This is something that's just kind of true of FromSoft games in general. They don't necessarily get a lot of recognition for it, but goddamn, do they just put out some grade A banger songs for like something that plays in the background while you're busy dying to this boss you can't figure out. And for point of fact, the song we're currently listening to, I want to say it's First Contact With You or Contact With You, I think it's called. This is the song that the first like brick wall boss everybody hits in Armored Core. This is what plays in the background. And because this is the brick wall boss that I spent 10 hours like figuring out and like beating this boss, when I finally beat it, like the rest of the game was a breeze, because everything I had been doing was learning how to play the game, basically.
Okay.
But because I spent 10 hours fighting this boss, I realized the song that was playing in the background fucking slaps. And there's a synthwave remix that like is even better, but we're sticking with the actual song in the game. But like, yeah, this is just great, like high tempo. We're fighting the boss. That's what we're doing. Goddamn, is it great.
Boss music is always the best.
Yeah, and
it's
like,
so good.
And Armored Core just kind of does that, and FromSoft games in general just kind of do that, where like, you don't even notice it. Like, I'm not a music guy. I don't necessarily always notice the music going on in the background. But like, you have a moment where everything calms down for a second, and you just hear whatever's going on, and it makes you feel like a grade A badass doing grade A badass things.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I feel like the soundtrack to a game, like even if you're not noticing it, can be so effective because it makes you feel like the protagonist, like in a very real way.
And FromSoft does this. Armored Core has done this the best I've ever seen, where it feels like I am the protagonist in my mecha anime obliterating my opponents.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, I'm gonna turn back on the just the kind of general games. Where is it?
Armored Core soundtrack does rips just like incredibly fucking hard.
And the thing is,
I'll have to add this to my best games OSTs thing.
The thing that I love is the primary soundtrack rips, and then the musicians who just make remixes get a hold of it.
Oh my god, yeah.
Oh, it's so good. The synthwave version of this, the synthwave version of oh shit. I can't remember what they're called. Godskin Duo from Elden Ring. Like there's some synthwave remixes that you've probably heard them if you've watched certain videos because people will just use them as backing tracks for stuff.
Yeah.
So like I have a if you've ever watched a Maxor video, he does this all the time where like he has a cool thing happening and he's just playing a remix of an Elden Ring song and it's great.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right. Our next category is best voice performance.
Yeah.
Mine's kind of a cop-out, I will admit. Because
really?
mine is every single performance in Stray Gods. But I did underline some that I think that particularly work for me. So I don't need to say that these voice actors are talented. You can look at these names and you know all of these voice actors and how talented they are. Although
some I don't recognize, but yeah, this is A-listers.
Well, yeah, for the most part. Although I would highlight a couple people who I haven't seen do voice work before, such as Raul Coley and Erika Ishii, who both do great. Although Erika Ishii in particular, I was like, oh my god, they do such a good job at her movies. Yeah.
Erika Ishii appeared out of nowhere to me because they started showing up in Dropout stuff, and I'm just like, oh my god, this person's great.
I've been following Erika Ishii for a long ass time, so I'm like,
apparently they've just been doing stuff for years and they're great at it.
Yeah.
But in particular, so Stray Gods, if anyone doesn't know, is an RPG that's also a musical. So a lot of the cutscenes, you'll put on a voice performance, and I replayed it recently. I haven't actually finished my replay of it, but I replayed it, and something I didn't know actually was that it's not just that you're doing different lines in the songs. You change the song entirely if you go down a very different route.
So I replayed. More replayable.
Yeah. So Alex, I replayed the Persephone portion in Act 1 or Act 2.
Yeah.
Where you have the sing off with her at her bar.
Yeah.
That song was completely different the second time because I was playing an aggressive Grace instead of a charismatic Grace.
Okay.
It was the replayability is definitely there. But so particularly great performances of just as voice work, but also just the singing work is really great. Laura Bailey as Grace, she carries the whole thing. She has to because she's the main character, but she just does. It's like a powerhouse performance.
Correct me if I'm wrong. They don't do the thing that animated shows will sometimes do, where they get a singing voice and then.
No, so I'm 99% sure all the voice actors do their own singing,
which is a huge credit to them because that is a very different series of work.
Yes.
Good VA and good musical VA are very different.
Yeah, and Laura Bailey, and I think it does show sometimes the singing. Sometimes when I was playing it, I got this kind of feeling where I was like, well, these songs are I think the songwriting, because it has to work with different lyrics, is not necessarily superb at every turn, although there are some songs in the game that I think are awesome. And I think sometimes the singing is this is good singing, but I would be curious what it would sound like if a seasoned Broadway performer was singing it instead. But I think ultimately, at the end of the day, I think the performances do what they need to do, and they're really good performances. And so Laura Bailey as Grace is awesome. Mary Elizabeth McGlynn as Persephone, oh my god.
Yeah.
She is pulling off cynical, mean butch Persephone in such a good way. This is my favorite depiction of Persephone in anything ever. She's fantastic.
I love jaded Persephone who just kind of hates the whole thing.
Yeah. Janina Gavankar as Freddie. Freddie was so funny. And her voice work is so funny. She's constantly just the way she says things is so charming. And I think it would be easy to write a character in a game like this who you got annoyed with very quickly, because she's your mundane friend who's helping you through this thing where you, if anyone doesn't know, the plot is that you're Grace, who's a normal human woman, and then a muse dies in your arms and you inherit her powers. That's like the first 5 minutes. That's not a spoiler. And so Freddy is your friend who's like kind of trying to help you get through it all. And she's just so charming. I love Freddy. She's so good.
She is the best friend character done very well.
Yeah. I mean, it speaks to how good she is, that the fact that like these are the love interests in the game. Freddy is one of them. So like you can choose between Pan, Apollo, Persephone, and some lady named Freddy, and she's like a good option.
We can make a strong case for why you should.
Kari Payton as Pan. Oh my god.
Oh, Pan was...
I'm gonna get flustered if we're gonna talk about this one too much, but...
Pan's got charisma.
My god. He does a really good job of playing this, like... of this, like, kind of scoundrel, but, like, so sweet. And like, I don't know, I love Pan.
He's a good bastard with a heart of gold, because like as much as he comes off as skeezy, he still comes off as someone who wants to help you.
Yes. Erika Ishii as Hermes. Oh my god, so charming and funny. And then Anjali Bhimani as Medusa. Girl, she's bringing it.
I feel really bad for Medusa in this plot, but
oh my god, yeah,
so good.
People who play Overwatch, you might know her as Symmetra, and she's a very talented voice actress, and she's very good as Medusa, and she's a great singer. The Medusa song is pretty good. But yeah, just all of these, just the Orpheus song is one of my favorites. Anthony Rapp does a really good job at that. Kimberly Brooks as Oracle is so funny. Just I don't know. It's like crazy. It's incredible. I love all of these performances. There is like one I would point to as like the weakest performance in my opinion, but I don't feel the need to do that. I'm just gonna keep being positive.
It saved your hateration.
No. I have guesses, but
it's well, you know,
yeah, that tracks.
But yeah, Stray Gods.
Stray Gods.
Why?
I like Hi-Fi Rush so much. I really genuinely enjoyed the voice work in this too, because I think like it is really difficult to nail voice work for games that are really stylistic, in my opinion. Because the really intense stylization and like comedic tone of Hi-Fi Rush in a lot of ways, like it's like, yeah, it's anime, but also you really do need to be able to nail some of these like incredibly dumb beats basically that happen story-wise. And I think like Robbie Daymond is I was a really big fan of Infinity Train. He's the voice of Jesse in Infinity Train, and he's so good. The thing is like he really nails comedic stuff, and I think like also the really earnest moments in here, like he's got perfect anime protagonist voice, like and not the kind that I find really annoying, like kind that is actually genuinely nailing it. Erica Lindbeck is famous for doing Barbie in quite a lot of things, and so she also does a really, really great job with Peppermint, because I think she also is great at striking some of the balance between Peppermint's kind of hot and cold personality sometimes. And then Sunil Malhotra and Gabe Kunda are not as big names as, like, you know, they don't have as much work, but I was really, really pleasantly surprised at how, first of all, like, in a game where I think it would have been like, yeah, well, we're getting a bunch of big name, like, you know, musicians to lend their songs to our thing, it would have been easy to just keep, you know, vying for star power, but I really like the performances that you get from Cinnamon and Macaron. Especially Sunil Malhotra has like just a really funny, like Cinnamon is very much like C-3PO, yeah, but like Sunil Malhotra just like really nails the there's, I don't want to spoil a plot beat that happens in there, but like he also just has some really good comedic and also really heartfelt moments that I was just like, yeah, honestly, it is hard to nail a lot of this tonally. I'm actually gonna be slightly a hater and say you may notice that one of the main cast characters is not on here. I don't really like the performance for Corsica because it's not very good to me, like just audio wise, it's not very good. And I think this is just because I do a lot of voice work stuff, but like I can hear that there are a couple retakes of some pretty major dialogue points that Corsica has, and they sound really different. So it's like, okay, so there's two different recording studios, and it throws me off. And it's partially like it's partially a technical note of why I don't like it as much.
I had a similar problem with certain parts of Stray Gods. There's this thing that happens sometimes with the dialogue in that game, not in the songs, but in the dialogue. Sometimes it feels like the voice was cut slightly too close to the beginning of the line. So it'll start without any breathing room, and it'll kind of sound like just the hair's breadth of a syllable was cut off at the beginning. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like a small.
They've got the crisps overcutting on them, and you never hear the first part of what they say.
So it's got this it's like a very small technical thing. So I understand what you mean by that.
Yeah. But yeah, otherwise I just really do like the performances in this, because I think like the story is very silly and like a lot of really silly things, but like if you as a voice actor can manage to bring like the heartfelt charm and actually take some of the like kind of stupid shit seriously, like it makes for really strong performances, and I think a lot of the people in here do that.
All right, Alex.
So Baldur's Gate 3, I just want to point out a big thing for this as a CRPG is they chose to go fully voice acted, which a lot of CRPGs don't, because there's just so much text that you'd have to cut all of it, and it makes your writing worse to have voice acting, right? That said, one of the things they did in Baldur's Gate 3 is they chose to have an actual narrator do all the stuff they would normally have to cut because nobody's there to voice it, right? And she does a great job of just keeping everything going, and like as much, it's not just someone plainly reading the text. They are like, when a moment is happening and like something is sneaking up on you and or something's about to happen, you can hear her like as if she's the DM about to be like, are you sure about that?
It's so good.
And it's great because it does add a lot to, you know, if you want to create the experience of sitting down at a table and playing with your friends and getting to do creative and interesting things, it really helps to not just have, well, you can see it there, but someone kind of reading what's going on. Because, yeah, sure, they can have the cool facial expression, but sometimes you just need someone to read the text and, like, give it to you that way. And Baldur's Gate 3, for all the problems that going fully voice acted can cause, I think navigated pretty well for still maintaining a lot of the fun things. Because, like, normally this would be stuff that would just be on the text and you'd read it. And they got a great person to read it, and they managed to keep it, which is really nice.
I think she brings a lot of humor to it also.
Yeah, I don't know if any of y'all have seen, there's like outtake clips of her just saying random shit after like messing
really
up
funny.
or flubbing a line, and she's got great charisma on top of that.
Yeah, I think a lot of the voice work in Baldur's Gate 3 is really good.
Yeah,
as many
generally all of
as
it, like
being voice acted does.
I never noticed any voice work. Spoiler alert: J.K. Simmons is in this, by the way. He's one of the villains, and he's doing a great job too. He's doing his usual thing, which is, well, he's one of those voice actors where, like, I honestly don't think he's a very good voice actor because he's just one voice. Like,
that's
only
true.
Has the one voice.
I like his voice though, so.
But that's the trick: is good casting directors make good characters for him. Because like Cave Johnson, who he is in Portal 2, is amazing. But like it's just J.K. Simmons being J.K. Simmons and like being a fun guy. But he's not necessarily doing fancy voice work. He's just got a good voice, and the people wrote him really well. And he's same thing here. He's got a good voice, and he's written very well, and he is still like doing a good job of like making sure to express the emotion his character is expressing. So yeah, and every VA in this game, no one's like completely dropping the ball, and I appreciate that.
Right. All right. Our next category. biggest surprise of 2023. So for me, this was the Cosmic Wheel Sisterhood. I played the demo for this game and I was into it, but I wasn't like that into it. But then I said, okay, you know what? I want to play this game. I think it's something that I should play and finish. So I sat down and I played the whole thing over the course of like 2 days. It's so fucking good.
I still need to come back and play it.
Yeah, Alex, you definitely should. I really recommend it. The story's crazy. Minor spoilers. You get involved in a political race through like half of the game. I didn't expect that.
I love it.
It's
Knowing
very
that makes me even more interested in its very strange already world.
The characters are really great. And this game made me mad, which I say that in a good way, which is to say, I made a decision in the first chapter that came back to bite me really hard in the last chapter, and I was angry about it. I was like, what? You mean there's no way for me to get out of this bad decision I made? What do you mean I'm facing the consequences of my own actions?
My God.
Me sowing, fuck yeah, me reaping, what the hell?
Literally, I was so angry. I was like, what happened? How did this happen to me?
You're literally that Eric Andre meme of who shot.
Literally, because, okay, I will, this is like minor spoilers in that I'm telling you that something you do in the first act that says it will come back actually does come back.
My God.
But when you're making, so the setup is that your character is a witch who's been exiled to this like house in the middle of space for, I think it's 1,000 years. Because of, hang on a second.
I know you give up at like year 300. Oh.
So you've been exiled, and because you got in a disagreement with your coven leader, and so you
Oh, I bet I know what choice comes back.
To get out of this exile, you call upon this big, sexy lobster man. He's a behemoth. He's like an ancient spirit. And he comes to you and he asks a price for his help. And one of the things you can give him is your immortality. Because the other options are like the coven that you're part of will like dissolve through some, like it's destruction of the coven, or the death of the person closest to you. And so of those three options, I was like, immortality seems like the easiest thing to give up. You would think that, but then at the end of the game, it's like, hey, give me your immortality now. It's like, what? Wait, what do you mean?
You actually want
I have to hold to my deal?
I was so angry.
It's really funny.
Okay. So yeah, that was, I loved this game. I'm currently replaying it to get a different ending. It's really cool. I look at this deer woman. Don't you want to meet her? You do want to meet her. Go play Cosmic Wheel Sisterhood. Eli, I'm gonna throw it to you. I have to go help my dad with something, but I'll be listening, so.
Okie dokie. No problemo. Okay, let me talk a little bit about Hi-Fi Rush again. This is obviously, I mean, Hi-Fi Rush was surprising to everybody. It was like a very much
dropped by Bethesda's, like one of Bethesda's sub-studios.
Yeah, they're like, hey, check this shit out. Boom. And it's like, holy, how did you get all of these songs? And also, when did this go into development? And what the
fuck?
Because
the first boss is like a Nine Inch Nails song, right?
Yeah. Or wait, is it Nine Inch Nails or Fiona Apple?
I think it's Nine Inch Nails because it's because I think the first boss is the tester bot is
yes. Okay. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like, oh my God.
I don't know any of the rest.
You're fine, but this. I mean, it was like just such a shocker to me that like a game that felt like this awesome to play, honestly, and had such like incredible performances and art just like appeared out of fucking nowhere, and then like it was like one day.
That baffles me about it, that they just like stealth dropped this triple like grade A amazing game, And it's like, yeah, here you go.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, and also it was just like one day on my dash, I was just like, whoa, what's this new thing that everybody is talking about? And for some reason, people have managed to make very quick gift sets of. And I was like, holy shit, oh, look at the soundtrack of this thing. And I was already instantly like, oh, I have to get this game. I have to get this game. it may have been the only game that like somebody successfully like showing me a single advertisement for it would have maybe made me be like, I don't know if I want to play it, but like getting it dropped like this was for some reason more conducive to me being like, I have to get this fucking game.
It's so weird how much this game is like, it relied on word of mouth and that actually worked.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know if it's just because like that sort of in some ways feels like that's the kind of, audience that they're appealing to. But yeah, oh my god, you would not believe also how many people were like talking about Bomb Rush Cyberpunk and immediately were like, also, oh my god, oh shit, like this.
Well, it was, because I'm going to talk about it for something else, and like, it's amazing to me that like, I started playing this game, and I have not finished it, and I really do need to come back and finish it, but I've been so bad about just like, there's all these cool new games, and I have not been playing them.
Curse of the gamer.
Yeah. Because it's like, you could do this, you can make a good rhythm action game, because I'd played a similar rhythm action game called No Straight Roads.
Oh yeah, I really like No Straight Roads too, actually, but the gameplay
something about
is
its combat like felt off, and playing Hi-Fi Rush made me realize what it is. And it's that in Hi-Fi Rush, Chai is always in sync with the tune, even if you aren't.
Yeah.
So you can sit there and slam the button as much as you want. He's only going to attack on the beat. And by comparison, No Straight Roads is kind of just like the boss is acting on the beat, but you're not, and it feels weird.
Yeah, I like really. I've seen some really cool indie like rhythm games, and I think like I've been a fan of rhythm games my whole life. I just fucking like music, and so it's just like yippee. And I think like to see Hi-Fi Rush succeed so just massively in the way that it's put together makes me excited, because like I think like those kinds of directions and like having that care for just like the way that like the player feels in time with the music, which is like in some ways I think diegetically when like the music in a lot of rhythm games, it's like you are playing the music. Now there are rhythm games where it's like you're not necessarily playing the music per se, but like you feel like you are attached to the music in a really visceral way, which is cool.
And this mix especially is like peanut butter and chocolate, because rhythm games, it's it's about staying on the beat and everything. Mm-hmm. But action games in general, like fighting a boss, are almost always a rhythm that you're trying to maintain. It's about kind of maintaining the rally. And getting to actually kind of merge it and make it formal is so nice.
Yeah. Also,
and when it works, it feels so good.
It does. And I like also just like, as far as just like systematic stuff that happens in here, I also just am like, God, it just like is nice also to be like, and you can like flip these things out and you have like the chip system and stuff. Cause like it does actually, I feel, affect, especially because like I'm actually really bad in this game at staying on the beat like more than maybe like 60% of the time. I don't think I've ever cleared being on beat more than 60% of the time, but like it still feels good to play even if you're not perfect at the system, which is good.
Hi guys.
Hi, we talked so much about Hi-Fi Rush.
We vamped real good for you.
Thank you, I appreciate it. All right.
Yeah.
Alex, your biggest surprise of the year was
Cassette Beasts. This also like had like it only has like one backing soundtrack song, but it's really good. But the thing with Cassette Beasts, fact you might not know about me, I don't like Pokemon at all. I'll fight you for it about it. I don't think Pokemon's a very good game. Mostly because it's been the same game for 20 years, and it keeps not changing.
It's very true.
Yeah.
And Cassette Beasts is just Pokemon. So why the hell did I like this game? And the thing is, like, I hadn't seen anything about Cassette Beasts, and it came out, and like it showed up on my Steam recommended because it is technically, Pokemon at its core is just an RPG, with a lot of fluff around it being an RPG. And I picked up Cassette Beasts and was like, oh, this is kind of fun. It's kind of like Pokemon. And then the first big change happened, which is that fusions are in this game. And if you're big into Pokemon ROM hacks, this year was also a big rise in popularity of the Pokemon Fusion ROM hack, where they were like fusing Pokemon together. This game just does that inherently, and it is a core mechanic where you have a partner who's fighting with you, and like you're building tempo, and when you build up enough tempo, you can fuse your two Pokemon equivalent, your two beasts together into a new big beast. And it's really good. It's telling a fun little story because it's like you get kidnapped into the alternate dimension and you're figuring out why the hell you're there. And it's kind of well, we found the way home, but do we really want to leave our wonderful isekai world? But the thing with Cassette Beast and what was the biggest surprise to me was just because I don't really like Pokemon that much. Because I don't find it all that interesting. And something about the particulars of how Cassette Beasts worked, particularly the way the fusions worked, the way some of the interactions of the elements work, because the way it works is there's no such thing as super effective. But if an element beats another element in the whole rock, paper, scissors thing, usually that will cause a unique status effect. So like if fire attacks plastic, it burns the plastic and melts it into poison. So it's not just, they put fusions in the game. It's that, like, they took a good spin on Pokemon that made me actually kind of enjoy it. And that is... Good job, guys, because I can't stand Pokemon, honestly. They're cute, but I hate the game.
This is the fact that you're saying this, like, with your whole chest is, like, I deeply respect that, because I feel like sometimes I'm like, if I like this that much, and I feel like people are gonna kill me, so it's like, this is,
This is one of those weird opinions I will just put out there, and you can hate me all you want. I don't like Pokemon.
Real!
So I played like the first hour of this, because it was like one of the only things on this list that I was like, I have no idea what the fuck this is. Like I had heard the name a bunch, because you kept like, you bring it up plenty, but like I had no idea what the core gameplay loop of it was. It's weird. You get those cassettes and you don't have like beasts in those cassettes. You have like essences and you use those to turn into beasts.
Yeah, no, it's great. Yeah, so instead of like making your Pokeball capture the beast, you capture the essence of the beast and you put it in your tape deck, and playing it causes you to turn into the beast. Which means that you also have a partner who's another character, and getting along with them makes it easier to create the fusions with them.
Yeah.
So it's also kind of stealing a little bit of Steven Universe there, by the way.
Yeah.
And it's great. It's a cute little game. If you like Pokemon, you'll probably like it. If you kind of don't like Pokemon because it's the same stale game you played when you had Pokemon Blue as a 10-year-old, you might like this one because they're at least doing more with the formula. And I know the new ones, they continuously make changes, but you can't.
And they walk those changes back in the next game. So
that too, and like
but yeah, awesome. I didn't end up playing any more of this in like the first hour just because like this type of game isn't for me, but I can see the appeal absolutely. Our next category is best gameplay mechanic. But first we're gonna have a little ad break. And as per usual, I encourage you guys, don't watch the ad. Walk away. Go get some tea, go get some coffee, stretch your legs, get some water, do whatever. Don't watch the ad. Don't look.
Hydrate.
Alright, but we will be back.
Oh.
We're back. Hi, everyone.
Hello. I hope I didn't scare you away by shit-talking Pokemon.
And so, oh my god, the stream has 0 views. It has negative views.
Man, I didn't realize I was that toxic.
All right. So, best gameplay mechanic. Mine is fishing in Dredge. Oh my god, I love the fishing in this game. It's the only good fishing in any video game ever. So this, I'm actually gonna kind of give it a 2 for here because the actual fishing minigame of Dredge is so good because it's not totally brainless. Like, you have to be paying enough attention to actually do it, because it's like, it spins, the one on the screen, for example, it spins around, and when it hits those green things, you're supposed to click, and that makes the fish get caught faster. There's like variations of it. There's like 5 different fishing mini games that are all kind of
like
the
changes
same thing.
depending on the fish you're pulling for,
Yes.
right?
So there's another one that's like, when you dredge, for example. Dredging is probably the hardest one, because any of the fishing mini games, if you just let it go, you'll eventually pull up a fish. But it'll go faster if you do the game correctly, which is important because time only passes in Dredge when you're doing something. So like moving or fishing, for example, if you're just sitting there on your boat not doing anything, time doesn't pass. So the faster you catch the fish, the less time you spend fishing, the more time you have to do other stuff and to get back to shore, or to get, you know, to an otherwise safe place if you need to before it gets dark.
There's none of that waiting for hours because you don't have hours to wait.
Right. Yeah. Dredging is probably the hardest minigame, just because if you do it incorrectly, you'll fail it. I guess. I mean, I don't actually know. I've never done that. It basically just spins around a track. It's 2 tracks side by side, and they have obstacles on them, and you have to click to like change the track to make sure you don't hit the obstacles. That's all it is. So it's hard enough to keep your attention, but it's not fucking Stardew Valley fishing. It's so not like hard for the sake of being hard.
You have to like keep holding and tapping it, but then you have to stop sometimes with the line snaps.
Well, you have to keep it on top of the fish, and it's like the fish will like jump up and down, and like the harder like it's there's a reason there's 7,000 different mods to make the fishing in Stardew Valley easier. But this is kind of a 2 for here. I like the time mechanic also, but the other main thing, I loved the inventory management in Dredge. It's just like Resident Evil ass, like you have this set amount of space and the fish take up different tiles and you have to fit them in by like turning them around and stuff. It's so fun.
Your hooks take different tiles, and if you bring a certain hook, that space is just cleaned out.
Yeah. It's so good. This game is so good. Everything that Dredge does, it does well. Like, if you like Dredge and its core mechanics and its like core gameplay, it's a good game. Like, the gameplay is not, I guess, for everyone, because it's, you know, just what it is, and the story is like a Lovecraftian like a horror game but fishing, which I assume probably wouldn't be for everyone. It's for me though. I like it. I like this game a lot.
If you're into Lovecraft, it makes a lot of sense too, that like a horror game built around a fishing town.
Yes.
And you're the fisherman.
I recommend this game to everyone. I think it's so fun and so good. All right. Eli, played up.
Oh my god, I just like, okay. I like really like playing games where I get to yell at my friends a little bit, which is just like, you know, Overcooked was kind of the thing I was playing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this looks very Overcooked.
Yeah, so Audrey, who I don't know if she's still in chat or not, but like Audrey and I played a lot of Overcooked, and then my siblings and I played a lot of Overcooked, and I was like, I'm getting bored. I have completed Overcooked. I need to play a new one. And Played Up is just like, yeah, we got the new one. It's nice because it's roguelike. Because
that's a good way to do it.
It's you get different kinds of like, you know, upgrades, and then you have to choose between things where it's like, this will give you more experience, but also maybe more customers will come in, or they'll leave bigger messes, or they will only want to sit at tables like this, like, or you have to cook new recipes, and you only have so much kitchen space, and also you have to, if you fail one order, your entire restaurant goes down. So it's like it feels so dire in the exact way that I like playing games.
I love that.
I love it. See, the thing is, like, I think it's fun because I would say, with the people I typically play with, I feel really in sync playing with them, so I want to play really difficult ones so that we can, like, feel the actual tension. Because I was like, at this point, Overcooked is fucking easy shit to me. I don't care.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like, this is hard in a way that makes me feel like when I'm playing with my siblings and we start, like, being like, no, fucking get the pizza! Like, it makes me fucking crack up. It's so fun. Like, it's just like, I hate roller coasters, but I like the tension of playing them because it's so scary.
Do you ever play that one where you have to disarm a bomb while someone else?
Yes. Keep
that
talking.
seems like something you would like.
Oh yeah, keep talking. Nobody explodes.
I used to play that with some of my roommates, and it's so fun. Also, it's just like I want it to be a little scary when I play the game.
It is
fun.
kind of having a little bit of stress or like a thing to work towards that like you could fail is kind of necessary, or else it's just kind of boring.
Yeah, also when you do make it through with people, you feel like fucking drift compatible and insane. It's like the best thing ever. Like if you actually manage to franchise your restaurant, oh my god, you're like, we're like gods. Like no, I don't know. It's intoxicating. I love it.
I love that. Alright, Alex.
Hi-Fi Rush! So I mentioned this while Eli was talking about for biggest surprise. This is the first time that, like, the action rhythm game felt really, really good to me. Like, No Straight Roads has great music, and I love it for that, but I didn't necessarily like actually playing it, and, like, if you're a video game and you don't like actually playing it, big oof. But in the same way that, like, I don't necessarily like Crypt of the Necrodancer that much, and not because it's a bad rhythm game or a bad game in any way, it's just, it kept feeling not great, because it is very, like, well, I'm not pressing on the beat, and I get out of sync, and everything goes tits up, and I just die, right? Yeah. And the same thing happens in a lot of these games, you know, BPM or Metal Hellsinger. You get off the beat, and you get, like, stuck off the beat, where, like, in your head, you think you're on beat, and you're just sitting there clicking it, and you're off the beat the entire time, and you can't get back on the beat. And Hi-Fi Rush doesn't have that problem, because Chai is always on the beat. The main character will always attack on the beat. If you're off beat, you're not doing as well, but you're not completely screwed. And that's... So many rhythm games, because they're so do or die, like, it can feel awful to play them, and it does not feel awful to play Hi-Fi Rush, ever.
Right.
I mean, besides if you don't necessarily like its story or what's going on, but... And yeah, it's great to have a rhythm game / action game, because action games having the rhythm be built in and like stated as part of the mechanic is really nice, because like action games are always kind of a rally or a rhythm when you're fighting like a boss or something, of like learning the pattern of dodging, and it feels very like you're playing a rhythm game, but you're not. And Hi-Fi Rush is making you do that, and it's very nice.
Love that. All right. Our next category is Best Mod. Best Mod and Best DLC were both suggested by Alex as categories. Great category options, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about this one. My favorite mod of the year was Dragon Age Origins Unofficial Remaster by Tupkenset. So the unofficial remaster, essentially, I've included some screenshots here from the mod page that kind of give you an idea of what it is. Essentially, it aims to both replace a lot of low-quality textures in Origins with high-quality textures, which is a thing that's happened before.
What's that?
There's always been, like, I think Dragon Age Redesigned does a similar thing, where it's replacing, like, low-quality textures with high-quality textures. But the thing that Origins Unofficial Remaster does that's, like, the reason why it's the only aesthetic overhaul that I will probably use going forward. I mean, other things I'll use in conjunction with it, but as in terms of, like, texture overhaul for the whole game, this is probably the only one I'll use going forward, is that it replaces textures with textures and models from later games to provide continuity between them. So, for example, you see this, like, Chantry sister here has had her robe replaced with one that uses the colors that the robes have in the next two games. to give that consistency. You can't see it,
small
so
touch.
yes, it's nice because it gives you a visual language that carries through from Origins to Dragon Age 2 when they really set that aesthetic in stone, and then to Inquisition where that carries through. Another good example, so it also replaces it includes, like, I don't know if it actually includes the neutral female armor mod or if it's like the same thing just but with different code. But it replaces the female armor in Origins, which, well, come on, BioWare, come on, guys.
Oh, they're not going to get over that for years.
With the neutral or masculine like variations of it, so it looks less stilly. But you can also see in the background here that they've replaced the tents that the Dalish use with their land ships from the later games. So it's like these big like model, and you know, it's changed. This statue of Andraste has been replaced with one from a later game. I just think it gives the world a much better consistency. So I was saying earlier, I should make a mod list for people to use if they want their Dragon Age Origins game to look and play like mine does. This would be my there's probably a smaller list of completely necessary mods that I would recommend to everyone, which would be technical mods that like make the game actually run, but then would also be things that I just think are important to the game feeling correct in 2023. This would be towards the top of that list. It's just such a labor of love. And you can follow this creator on Nexus Mods, but you can also follow, I think they use like multiple pronouns. I'm going with they just to be safe. You can follow them on like Tumblr and stuff too. They really love Dragon Age, and it shows like in their mods and like their dedication to these characters in this world. And to like improving it
can be so concerning because sometimes they're not overhauling for reasons that make sense, and instead it's because like I don't want to see a particular race or gender.
Yeah, and I haven't seen that problem necessarily Dragon Age mods, but there's definitely mods that like they're overhaul mods that go in and they make like all your female companions like hot anime women in addition to just changing all the textures. It's like, I don't want Morrigan to look like that. Leave me alone.
Yeah, I'm not. Come on.
I feel like this doesn't necessarily. It's going to change a lot of things, but it's going to keep Dragon Age Origins feeling like Dragon Age Origins while putting it in the same language as the other games, if that makes sense.
That is a great thing to have. I've definitely played some overhauls where it's like, I get you put your cool ideas in here, but this does not mesh with the game I'm actually playing.
You're not enhancing the game, you're making it a different thing. And I love this game. I think this mod has such like a respect for Dragon Age Origins and like a love for it. But yeah, that's my pick. Eli.
Yeah. I don't have a whole lot to say about this just because, like, I think everybody who's ever played Stardew Valley, like, has used this at some point or just, like, knows that this is a mod that's been around for a little bit. But, like, I do genuinely like this. I think, like, over the last couple of years, I have not played Stardew Valley as much, even though I have a lot of fondness for it as a game. It's just not my go-to, like, let me just, like, kill a couple hours with this game kind of thing anymore. But I do really like when you see a mod, and it's similar to your thing, like, when you see a mod and it's clear that the person just, like, really, really cares about the thing that they're modding and, like, has put so much time and effort into making it feel true to, like, what has already been established. Like, I really feel that with Stardew Valley Expanded, and I really like a lot of the choices that they make and a lot of the, like, little narrative, like, beats that they've built into it. It just, like, it does feel believable. Like, it feels like, yeah, that probably could be just, like, legit canon. And I think, like, also, being able to improve on some of the pixel work that's in Stardew Valley. Look, I like Stardew Valley a lot. My favorite character is Sam. The pixel work on him is a little rough. Uh, and I really like him, and also could be better. So I think like Stardew Valley Expanded also has some really nice pixel work in it that like really enhances and improves the way that the game looks in a way that I find non-intrusive, because I definitely think also, like you're saying with aesthetic mods, sometimes people will do something and I'm like, that's not right. Heart emoji, like that's not, he would not look like that, she would not look like that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I love that. So, Alex.
Let's talk about Elden Ring.
let's
talk about
talk
Elden Ring.
about Elden Ring.
Elden Ring's a fun game, and it's a lot of fun, but eventually you get to the point where you've beaten every boss and done all the things, and it's like, well, what am I gonna do? I guess I'll just put it down. Or you can beat me and put 1,000 hours into it. How did I put 1,000 hours into it? Well, you see, I booted up a randomizer that made everything different every time I played it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, so the fifth Matt, he has made, or I assume it's a he, I really don't know. They have made a whole bunch of randomizers, because they made like the Dark Souls 3 randomizer. There's a Sekiro randomizer, and all this does is it takes like any time you're going to step into a room and fight a boss, the boss is different. Oh, they're supposed to drop this item, they drop a completely different item. And this time around, they made a really fun one called the Fog Gate randomizer, which is normally in these games, there's something called a fog gate, and it's meant to separate you from one location to another.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So what they did is they took every single fog gate, and even some of the ones that aren't necessarily there unless like you're in PvP, where that fog gate's just meant to keep you from escaping to a different area. Those are also there. And when you go through them, they don't they don't go where you think they're supposed to go. They'll put you somewhere else.
That's so fucking amazing.
This added a whole lot of replayability to the game for me, though, because what it meant was now it became the process of, and like they even put like extra work into it where like it rebalances the game so that like if you go to the last boss through your first gate, they're balanced like they're your first boss.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it's really, really well put together. Like there's a lot of technical that went into this that's very like someone competent made this.
I have a question.
Yes.
When you load up a save, will those gates be consistent? So like if you go through one, so you can kind of remap out the game in your brain.
Yeah, it's essentially you're remapping the game in your brain, and you're learning, because like if you don't randomize the items, which is what I didn't, because you can actually do like full random where like the fog gates take you to random rooms with random bosses and random items. I don't do that. I just do the fog gates take you to random rooms. But it creates an interesting challenge, because you go from, well, I know where everything is, to holy shit, I can't even get my like first level upgrades for my weapons because I can't find that location. So it creates a very fascinating challenge for myself, which was it made it go from like, oh, this is a cool game that I spent way too much time into, this is a cool game I spent way too much time in.
What did you say? Did you say you'd gotten to over 1,000 hours or something?
I am creeping up on 1,000 hours now.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, which is a lot. And the reason I bring that up is to like explain how something like a randomizer can breathe a whole lot of new life into a game.
Absolutely.
Because I probably would have stopped at 300 or 400, which is already a lot, but I got way more out of it this way.
I love that. All right. Our next category is our best moment in gaming this year. Now, I'm in the unique position of having video of my favorite moment of this year. I will send the clip to both of you if you want a refresher on what this is.
There's a screenshot I should have taken, because I have a screenshot that relates to my best moment as well.
Hang on, it's gonna load in correctly on... Yeah, okay. So, I'm just gonna pause Spotify, just let this play. I also love our new king. Let's go to the after party, guys. Can you guys believe the game didn't crash even once? I'm so proud of her. No.
I forgot about this.
Devastating.
Literally, like on cue.
I gotta walk that one off.
Oh.
So this was Dragon Age could hear me talking, and it was like, oh yeah, is that what you think?
Oh, you think you're getting through this?
God.
So this was context. Literally, so context. Yes, this is a challenge.
Did this turn into like a whole stream of trying to figure out why your save kept crashing exactly there, or was this something else?
No. That was the stream before, where
Right.
I kept crashing as I entered an area, and I figured out it was because Wynn was wearing a particular piece of armor that when or was it Morgan? One of my mages was wearing a particular piece of armor that when they cast a particular spell, crashed the game. I love modding.
Amazing. Amazing.
That wasn't Dragon Age's fault. That was my mod. So this happened. I beat the final boss in one try, and then I was like, "Ooh, after party to the after party, end of the game, guys." Oops.
Yeah. God.
I can't actually remember if I had to fight the boss. I think I had to fight the boss a second time. Beat it in one try again, though. So,
Slay.
I'm the best Dragon Age Origins player on Twitch. It was so funny. I was so mad in the moment. You can hear at the end of the clip. I had to leave my desk and walk around my house, like just walk a circuit around my house and then come back and sit down because I was so angry.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was funny.
Oh, it was so good.
It was just so funny. It was such a funny way to end my time with this game that I love. And I love this game. I thought this moment was so funny, and I was thinking, I've thought about it a lot since then. It was vindictive. The game was being cruel. Eli.
Yeah.
What is Cartomancy?
Cartomancy Anthology is like basically it's like a bunch of different games that were all themed around the main tarot deck.
Yes.
Or what is it, the Major Arcana. And each game is made by a different person or like a small different team. And that's why every time I play this game, I'm like just completely delighted every single time. Because basically you pull either 1 or 3 random cards and then you just get to play through those games. Like and I just like am so delighted every time I play this that like I'm like, you pull out a card and you play a new game and it's really good. Like every single game it is actually really, really good.
I love that.
Like, oh shit, like they're good in like completely different ways. Like, and also I think each game takes in a slightly different direction that I wouldn't have expected for most of them. But
yeah.
Just I don't know. Every time I opened it up and played it, I was like, God, it's so fucking good. Every time I'd just have a moment right in the beginning where I'd open up the game and I'd be like, oh my God, this is so great. So yeah, everybody get this game now. It's would
you say there's no clear winner and they're all great?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I have a personal favorite just because it's a card that I like a lot, and the game that's associated is good, but also part of the fun of this game is that you randomly draw the games each time, so that's also kind of fun. It's like
fascinating, actually.
So it's like you can also set it where you could just play the game that you want to play once you've played all of the games, but I think it's more fun to like pull 3 cards and then just play all of those games again, like in kind of. And also the games have some of the games more than others have high replayability, so it's like kind of fun to like revisit the game and be like, oh yeah, I was playing this last time.
Oh, that sounds really interesting. I'll have to check that out. I had not heard of this game before, but that's fascinating.
It's excellent. It's a lot of very small like indie creators, and like I messaged in when we were like, putting this together that I was like bringing that indie heat because I don't really play a lot of like big studio games, but these are fun, and this game's been around for a little bit, but like the developers are all cool people and make really cool stuff still. So if you like a game in the Cartomancy Anthology, you can also just like go follow that person's work. You know what I mean?
Cool. All right, Alex.
Okay.
What is this?
So this needs a bit of context. So Armored Core 6, and I'm going to kind of spoil a little bit of the plot of Armored Core 6. So if anybody really cares about that, maybe plug your ears for a couple minutes. So Armored Core 6 is a game that, like, you're doing missions, right?
Right.
And the idea is like the missions have objectives and you do the things. But you beat the game once, and then it jumps you right into New Game Plus, and you're expected to beat the game again. Now, normally, I expect small little changes. And that's kind of what I got on my first New Game Plus. Was, oh, cool, like this mission, I get to choose this other choice, and that's cool. And if I choose these choices, I get some new and unique and interesting fights. And then I get to New Game Plus 3, or plus 2, meaning I had beaten the game twice.
Yep.
Technically, it was plus 3 for me because I did the same ending twice, and to get to New Game Plus 3, you have to do each ending, and there's 2 first endings. Okay. And I get the first mission on the 3rd path.
Okay.
And what it is one of the first missions in the game is you attack this big, destroyer tank thing. And this new path gives me this cool new mission. And the cool new mission is, instead of attacking this big tank destroyer, I'm going to defend it. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. So I send my friend a message, and I'm like, because, I'm playing this alongside some other friends. The friend is also named Alex, which makes everything confusing. And I'm like, oh, cool. When you get to New Game Plus 3, or, I thought I'd figured out some secret. And I'm like, cool, I get this mission where I get to defend this thing. And I boot the mission up, and the mission starts, and I see the thing exploding.
Oh no!
So I immediately just take a screenshot of that and send it back to him because I had just said to him oh cool, you get to defend it. I'm just like, and something about that just it set a tone with me of oh, you think, oh, you thought. And that's awesome. It's great.
I'm a sucker for games that change things on replay.
You might really enjoy Nier Automata then, because that is its entire
yeah, I know.
But you gotta get past the horny. You gotta get past the weird Yoko Taro.
Or you just gotta really embrace it and just lean into it. It's either you just gotta be okay, I guess that's it, or you just gotta be yeah, you know what?
I'm fine with that. I'm just bad at action games.
Oh, that one does not need you to be good at action games.
No, you can actually be really, really bad at action games and still be good at Nier Automata.
I'll just put it on my 2024 TV guide then.
Or just flip the script to get an overly sexualized 9S, who's the femboy.
Oh, stop. You would not believe how often that happens online.
All right. We're actually done with standard categories now, just so everyone knows.
Hey, good for us.
And we are on to... I can't do a drum roll because I don't think my mic will pick it up, but we're on to Adult Fest 2023!
Woo! We're haters. We're haters now.
Time to take our haterade. Coral Island! So, here's the thing. This game releasing into 1.0 in its current state is fucking unacceptable. It's not finished. You can't release a game into 1.0 when there's major quest lines that aren't finished. It's wild. This game needed to be in early access for another 6 months at least, if not a year. And it's I don't understand why they decided to release it into main access, just wide release 1.0 now. It's so pointless. I don't understand. I don't get it. This game came into early access Chuck, when did it get into early access? Hang on.
At least about a year or two ago, because I know you were getting into it then.
Well, okay, but no, I was in the alpha, which the closed alpha was different than early access. For the sake of this, I'm only going to count early access in terms of you could buy it and play it in early access. I was in the alpha because I was in the Kickstarter. But, right. So, early access... The fuck song is this? Oh, it's from Undertale. It was just evil laughing. What is that? It was Flowey.
Yeah, it's Flowey.
So the final update before they launched in early access was October of 2022. It was only in early access for a little over a year. Bye, Audrey. Have a good time doing chores.
Good luck with the chores. I hope you win.
So it was in early access for about a year. Okay, this is a big game. it's a farming sim. It's like a ton of stuff. There's like romances and all these mechanics that need to be done. And I was curious, I was trying to figure out, like, what's a game by a team with a comparable size that did early access well? And the game I would point to was Hades.
Yeah.
So Hades released into early access in... hang on. It released into early access in 2018. I guess. Yeah. It was time exclusive on Epic for a year and then released on the Steam in early access in 2019. And then it came out of early access in 2020. So it was in early access for about a year and a half, almost 2 years, give or take. Year and a half, almost a year and 3 quarters. Because it released in September. It released officially in September, but it got in early access in December of like a couple years ago. And it's a not a small game necessarily. Like there's a lot to it, but I think in terms of like how much like just in terms of like assets and like writing and stuff, it's probably smaller than Coral Island. But it was made by a comparably sized team. But the Hades team also was much more experienced than the Stairway Games team. You know, Supergiant had made like 3 other games before Hades.
Yeah.
They made Bastion, they made Pyre, and they made...
There's something else on their resume.
Transistor.
Yeah.
This was Stairway Games' first game. I would expect this to have been in early access for 2-3 years even. But they released it, and it's unacceptable. There's unfinished shit. It's not correct. And they're acting like this is just like, okay. I actually went into the Kickstarter and I looked at like things that they had said would be in the game by 1.0 compared to they released a roadmap a little while ago for like what's coming in the future and like, you know, the 2024 roadmap.
Yeah.
The early access roadmap said, I saved these, I'm pulling them up, that the 1.0 update, the things they would do before that would be spring, summer, fall, and winter content, okay? They would add in mermaid content, so there's the diving feature, and you would be able to go to the Mermaid Kingdom. Then they would also add in in-game content, like all the heart events, marriage, children, you know, the full like mining thing. You will get 10 hearts of everyone. And then with the 1.0 update, so this is saying this would come out at the same time as the game went into 1.0, they would institute the tourist system and the merfolk NPCs. Now they're saying stuff that's going to release in 2024 is going to be the Mermaid Kingdom storyline, the tourist system, more like dating mechanics, because the dating mechanic that's already in the game, the like romance mechanic, is very bare bones. Like it's technically there, but it's like it's not. Your kids having portraits and dialogue, that was supposed to be in before the 1.0 release. Now that's launching in 2024.
Oh no.
The only things that were supposed to come after 1.0 was supposed to be the multiplayer update, which is going to have full multiplayer, mod support, kids growing up, and island hopping, or at least updates on those things. Those things are obviously now apparently coming in 2024 also, but I don't necessarily think that's true because they're behind on the content that was supposed to release with 1.0. And it's one thing for there not to be all the content present. Like it's not okay for them to release an unfinished game into 1.0, but it's really not okay.
It's 1.0.
Yeah,
like
it's really
there
was no reason for it to be out of early access. But you know what's really not okay is the amount of bugs this game has.
Oh my god.
Let me preface this by saying I personally have not experienced any game breaking or major bugs while playing. but I've also not played like a ton of it. I've also been playing on PC, which to my knowledge is the most stable version. Console players have experienced major game-breaking bugs that keep them from progressing. I've seen people lose saves with like dozens of hours on them. You know,
Yeah.
I've people just who can't play the game because the bugs are game-breaking, which is unacceptable. I am of the belief that like in the era we live in with how large games are, it makes sense that when a game releases, it will be buggy. Okay, fine. I don't love it, and I think that that especially larger studios should be paying QA testers to minimize that. But at the end of the day, I am willing to accept that and say, okay, you know, give it a few months, the bugs will probably worked out a little bit more. This was an early access though. I'm much less forgiving about that with a game that's been in early access for a year, because that should be part of what happens in early access. Like, early access I already have problems with because in a way you're basically having people pay to be your QA testers.
Yeah.
And obviously they're not going to do that job as well or as efficiently as actual QA testers who are trying to break the game to see how they can fix those bugs. But like, it's crowdsourced QA testing in a lot of ways. There's no reason that it should be like this. It's what keeps me from recommending this game. I do think a lot of people would enjoy this game even in its current state. I cannot recommend it to people because it's so unacceptable the way it was released. And I was softer on this opinion a while ago, like when it first released, and I do think in a lot of ways people are being too harsh on it. And like attributing malice, especially where there is none, like saying like the devs lied on purpose. I don't think that's true.
This sounds exactly like an inexperienced dev who promised a whole bunch and jumped in deep.
Absolutely.
And probably they want to slap the 1.0 because that generates sales and hype. So they did that, even if they didn't necessarily meet the goals they set, and they never reset those goals.
Right. All right, and that's all I'll say. You know, that's my rant. Let me just add like a 30-second additional rant, which is to say, I'm not taking any. This is like a less serious one. I'm not actually mad about this, and this is just me being an asshole. I'm not taking any more recommendations for games, books, or movies from people if they include the word wholesome or cozy in the first two sentences.
Like, me! Holy shit!
It is a big old buzzword that tends to kind of... There's a lot of games that don't really feel like they've got any game going on because they're just wholesome, cozy game and they don't do anything.
Or people will say wholesome, cozy game, and then they'll just like completely misrepresent what a game is about. And it's like, well, it kind of seems like you didn't fucking play it, champ.
The people that make those recommendations when it's like, that game is not a wholesome, cozy game. What the
I'm
fuck
like,
are you on about?
Distinctly, I'm like, sometimes people will put like an RPG Maker type thing, and I did see somebody put what I remember as being pretty famously kind of a dark one called Dreaming Mary, and it's got a really cutesy art style, and I was like, you clearly did not fucking play the game. Holy shit, you can't just recommend that
game's about like child abuse.
Yeah, pretty severely.
Yeah,
I think Doki Doki Literature Club wholesome.
Yeah, it felt like that. It was a real like, okay, what the hell?
My problem with this is that I feel like people, I've well established why I have problems with like the label cozy and like the games that fall under that label and how I think they use it. Sometimes, obviously, there's a lot of good cozy games. I enjoy a cozy game. But, like, I think there's a lot of cozy games that, like, use that as a shield against criticism for not having gameplay.
Yeah.
But, I think that another problem that I have with it, and, like, this isn't just games. Like, this also applies to books that people are like, oh, it's so wholesome and sweet slice of life. Okay, but, like, I'm not interacting with media for the aesthetic of it. Like, I need there to be something there. When you say wholesome, I don't want that to mean some, like, sanitized slice of life. I want wholesome to mean it's gonna fill me up. I want, like, a good filling meal out of this piece of media. And you're not giving me that. I'm not reading your fucking Dungeons and Dragons coffee shop AU book, alright? That was very directed to a specific book that people really like. So, if you like that book, that's fine. That's just not... I'm just not. I just can't. I can't. I don't have enough hours in the day.
Yeah.
Don't make me read Legends and Lattes. I'm not gonna do it. You can't make me.
Well, definitely.
Legends and Lattes isn't real. It can't hurt me.
To jump back into games, there's a lot of wholesome games where it's like, what is the actual underlying game here besides just having cozy art?
No, yeah. Just
Like-
if I want to look at some cute pictures of some cute animals, all you can just go ahead and do that on Google Images.
Yeah.
I can pull up somebody's Tumblr.
All right. I'll cut myself off here and say, all right. Hey Eli.
I have so much to say. Clearly, I had to like break it down. Okay, so I was going to talk about visual novel stuff just in general, and I might save that as like a little 30-second tag at the end about this. But like, okay, so like Apollo Justice trilogy, which generous fucking title for the kind of games that are in it, it's coming out, and I have to tell people like Ace Attorney 4, Apollo Justice, is really good. Like I cannot like I can't not stand by it because it's like it is genuinely one of my favorite games in like the Ace Attorney kind of canon, and Apollo is a really fascinating character, and Phoenix gets a lot of really interesting character development in there that I think is really great. But here's the thing, so I also played Ghost Trick this year, and Ace Attorney 4 released, and then Shu Takumi wrote Ghost Trick and it flopped, and then he kind of was like, well, I kind of don't want to go back to doing Ace Attorney right now because like Ghost Trick flopped so hard, I feel bad. And it sucks because then a different team took over and did Dual Destinies and Spirit of Justice, and they're bad. They're like really bad games, and they suck really bad. And it's really unfortunate because so the same team that did Dual Destinies and Spirit of Justice also did Ace Attorney Investigations, which was never formally translated, but it is the ones that follow Edgeworth, and those ones are actually really good. I actually genuinely like the writing in them, but these ones suck so bad. Shu Takumi very famously, Shu Takumi very famously based Phoenix off of himself, and there's a lot of complexity that I think Phoenix has as a character that is just fucking erased in these games. Same thing happens to Apollo, and it sucks. So, first off, Ace Attorney, Dual Destinies. I wrote Dark Age of the Lost Shut Up. This is a theme that comes up over and over again, and it's just nonsense because it.
What does that mean?
I'm gonna tell you. So, in Ace Attorney 4, Apollo Justice, Phoenix Wright has been disbarred for 7 years.
Awesome.
Like he lost his attorney's badge because he falsified evidence. He wasn't aware that he had falsified evidence, but that happened. And it's a major reason why like Phoenix is like kind of, if you've ever seen those images of him where he looks kind of like shitty dad core, like yeah, he is shitty dad core.
Isn't he like homeless or something?
He is not actually homeless, but he is paying his rent, which he still lives in the same law office, but like he is fully paying the rent for that place by playing piano and playing poker at a random club.
Hilarious.
It's a strange ass game, but it's like, so Phoenix is disbarred for 7 years, and Apollo Justice, the game, it kind of brings you to this point where like the law kind of fucked up because it prioritizes and like to some degree Ace Attorney is a critique of the Japanese like legal system at that point. And it's like, yeah, being a fucking you lose 99% of the time as a defense lawyer. That is why Shu Takumi was like, I think it would be fun if we wrote a defense lawyer, because it's like he's constantly going to be the underdog. And so Ace Attorney 4 does that, and it's really interesting, and Phoenix getting disbarred and that whole drama around that is genuinely fascinating and has a lot to do with like interpersonal stuff. And then they were like, let's just tag on a completely new case in this. See that third character there, this fucking emo ass MCR listening ass fucking guy.
I like that DeviantArt OC.
Yeah. Guess what? He's the prosecutor for most of the game. He's also a criminal.
Where's
He's a
my
felon.
friend?
Where's
Which
Miles?
friend? Oh,
Yeah,
he's
where's
not even
Miles?
in these fucking games. He
Oh
is,
my
but
God.
like very
He's
briefly.
in
But
his-
anyways,
Spin-off games right now.
Is
I
he
guess.
off doing gay stuff with Phoenix Wright, or?
he's not even off doing gay stuff. He's just in Europe.
Well,
so doing
that's
gay
pretty
stuff
gay.
independently. He's just not with Phoenix. But
Not with Phoenix. Oh man.
this fucking prosecutor, for some goddamn reason, is a felon, and everyone's like, but he could be a prosecutor, it's fine. And then there's a plot
That's
twist
funny.
where Athena, who is the second character there, and I do actually like Athena. She's an interesting, well-written, like, female character in the canon of weird female characters of Ace Attorney. I like her. Her backstory is so stupid complicated and forms the final case of this game. And she's like, I have somebody I really want to protect who went to jail. And it's like, I wondered that we just got introduced to a fucking prosecutor who has been in jail. I wonder if it's him. Oh my god, it's him. It's so fucking crazy. And, like, for some reason, they're like, this is the dark age of the law because Phoenix Wright got disbarred and now he's back in the court and he's got a badge. And also this guy, Simon Blackwell is the name of the prosecutor. This guy also had a whole thing, and it's the law is so bad, it's the dark age of the law. And so it's just rehashing shit that already got resolved in Apollo Justice's game. They also give Apollo a new backstory that does not make sense in here. For some reason, it's like, Apollo is just some random dude and he, like, grew up and had largely a normal childhood, but in Apollo Justice it's like he also did not like he doesn't know his mom, and in this one they're like, and he doesn't know his dad either, and also he might have grown up on a space station, and it's like, what? okay, he grew up in the foster care system. Now he has okay, yeah, right.
What?
Okay, cool.
Also, a major plot point of this is that, see that earring that Athena's wearing? This is a major spoiler for the game, but who gives a shit? That earring is like... that earring is like an actual moonstone, because she grew up on the space station too, and somebody got murdered. Her mom got murdered. Oh my god, this game is so fucking stupid. Her mom got murdered, and then she thinks she might have... Simon Blackwell is like, holy shit, Athena just murdered her mom. I'm gonna take the fall for it, because I don't want this child to go to jail, because they were gonna put her in jail. Fucking god.
Oh my god.
And so then that moonstone is actually really important though, because it has the DNA of the actual killer on it, kind of.
Oh, yeah, this is like a trend in these games that, like, the final case is always like this 30-year-old case that everyone's dredging up details about.
I have a question, Eli.
Yeah.
I played like part of the first Ace Attorney game. It's fun. I need to get back to it. Is it? Do they carry through the fact that when you lose a case, they kill you?
No.
They drop that in the later games?
They do, in fact, drop that. Yes.
Because I was playing and I was like, holy shit! You get automatic death penalty for any crime.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting too because they actually drop it in the trilogy, like the original trilogy. Okay. Some characters will go to jail and then some don't, and then some characters do, and then it's like that feels like that should be a death penalty one just based on the previous context. But that guy's in like his own cushy jail cell and he has a bookcase in there. Okay, why not? So it's very inconsistent internal logic. And the thing is, I actually like that Ace Attorney does that thing where like the final case is kind of dredging up old shit, because it's like, yeah, a lot of the themes around Ace Attorney are talking about like how the past affects the future. That's like a big theme that Shu Takumi likes, and it works really well for like every game until this one, because they're not Shu Takumi and they don't have his fucking the balls to write a good case. Oh my god, I can't. Okay, so hey, I mentioned that the death penalty thing doesn't carry over. Sorry, I was wrong. Spirit of Justice, you go to a different country and it's very racist. Honestly, I feel like it's really fucking racist. And also, they're like, by the way, we have a really severe court system because this country, we hate lawyers, so if you lose, you die. It's like, okay.
They kill the lawyer?
They kill the lawyer. It's like, even the criminal dies, even the lawyer dies. Like, it's so fucking stupid.
Jesus.
Even the lawyer gets in trouble.
It literally feels like that. And then they introduce a new game mechanic, which makes no fucking sense. And this middle character is just really poorly designed. I don't like her at all. She is a Maya clone in the worst way, because Maya's in this fucking game. Anyways,
I see her. She's pointing like all the other ones are.
Yeah. So this is the thing. Phoenix enlightens another country, and it's fine, apparently. He's like, but the law is actually really good, and everyone's like, yeah, let's let this random guy... And it's like, he's Japanese, like, you know, but it feels like white savior. I don't fucking get... This is the worst game of all of them. It's a slog. All the cases suck. They bring back characters that you're like, I wish I cared that you brought back this character, but it doesn't fucking matter because it sucks. And then it also, overwrites major plot points from the original trilogy, which is insane because it's like this magical new country is actually where Maya's family got their spirit channeling technique from. What?
Okay.
Why? Explicitly in the first 3 games, it's really important that only the Fae family has this because that's like the entire reason for why the DL6 case ties up a bunch of plot points. Why the fuck did we introduce a whole ass new country? A country that does the whole fucking thing? Are you kidding me? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It drives me insane. And also, again, hey, remember how Apollo Justice, it's like, first game he shows up and he's like, I don't really know my parents, it's fine, I grew up in the foster system, it's chill, like whatever. And then it's like, also he might have grown up on a space station and his friend gets murdered in that game, by the way. And then in Spirit of Justice, they're like, also he actually grew up in a different country for a little bit with a different guy as his father figure, and that guy was a political rebel. And so then when that political like upheaval didn't work, they sent Apollo to another country and he grew up in the foster care system there. Christ. Then he went to live on a space station, and then it's like
Apollo Justice, man of many parentages.
I feel sick.
It's like it's like no fucking way you just did that. There's no fucking way you just completely rewrote a character whose backstory was largely just that he's like, I don't really know my parents, it doesn't matter that much. What the fuck? I can't! There's also, like, there is exactly one case in both of these games. Both of these games have one case that I really like. And it sucks because in Spirit of Justice, so Athena doesn't even get to go to the new fucking stupid country where they hate lawyers. Athena just gets to hold down the fort, and she gets one case in the game. And that's the only case I like in this game, is that it briefly pans to Athena, and she gets to be like, oh, by the way, I'm doing this case where, you know, like maybe somebody got murdered, whatever, and then
whatever.
It's always murder. But it's like
murder.
Actually an interesting look. So Athena's gimmick is that she's a psychologist. Also, she does like psychological lawyering, and also she's got a magic robot that tells people's emotions, and also whatever. It's so fucking convoluted. It's stupid. But her case in the game actually deals really sensitively with like having dissociative identity disorder, which I think is the one saving grace about this game, is it has that case, and it's not even fucking related to the main story. So who gives a fuck? They could have just made that a DLC for Dual Destinies. It would have been fine. Why'd you make Spirit of Justice? God, I fucking hate this game. Okay. I can't. I feel insane. Like my heart is beating so fast. I hate this fucking game.
You want to say like 30 seconds about visual novels and why you don't like them anymore?
No, I'm going to say my last real quick thing. Also, the 3D character and new character designers, I hate how they look. Phoenix looks so bad. It looks fucking bad. Everything looks bad. Okay, my 30-second tag, which will probably be shorter. Visual novels are getting really samey in a way that I dislike, because I really like that Ace Attorney is like a pretty early entry into visual novels and is really unique and fascinating. And I think a lot of people are currently, I play a lot of like indie visual novels because I think they're fun, but I'm like, y'all are getting really, really, really reliant on just doing romance, or maybe it's romance, but it got a kind of scary twist. I'm like, my favorite visual novels are Umineko no Nakukoro ni, like the longest fucking visual novel of all time, and Ace Attorney, and I just feel like we could all step it up just a little bit instead of doing the same fucking, like, maybe you're in a crazy post-apocalyptic world, or maybe you're in high school, or maybe you're a wizard, and maybe you fall in love. I don't give a fuck! I don't want to do that anymore!
You should play Slay the Princess. Which
I want to play Slay the Princess.
is a romance love story, actually, but like also you're trying to murder each other the entire time. And the writing's really good.
I want to play it really bad. That's my whole rant. Anthony saying, "Holy shit, Eli!" Smile.
I love it. All right. We got another one entering the rant zone. We got another. Don't want to talk about.
You want to talk about Baldur's Gate?
Let's fucking go!
Let's go!
So, I'm going to start this off with the, disclaimer. Baldur's Gate is a good game. I'm not going to sit here and shit on it and just pretend it's a bad game. It's a good game. I'm going to say some quick things I appreciate about it, which is, it's a very accessible CRPG. In fact, there's probably a lot of people who are playing CRPGs they never would have touched because they played Baldur's Gate 3, loved it, and went, I want more.
And that's good.
So that's great. And it's a good if you played like Divinity 2 and you played Baldur's Gate 3, you can see how Baldur's Gate 3 kind of evolved out of Divinity 2.
Mm-hmm.
Which leads me to my point.
Mm-hmm.
This game is not the most innovative thing to happen to CRPGs in years, like people talk about it like it is. This game is Divinity 2 with 5e slapped on it. And that's not a bad thing. This game is got a lot of problems, and they're weird little problems. They're the same problems CRPGs have had for years. And playing Rogue Trader made me realize what I don't like about Baldur's Gate 3 and why I like Rogue Trader. But I'm going to say more specifically why I like Owlcat versus Larian, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Baldur's Gate 3 kind of has the same problems, but not as extreme as Rogue Trader had, where like when I got to Act 3, a bunch of stuff just kind of started falling apart. Things like it felt like I had hit way too long into, an 80-hour game, and like storylines didn't make any sense. I didn't really want to do any of the side quests anymore. I just wanted it to be over. And then it was finally over, and I didn't feel all that enthused. And it took me a while to kind of realize why I wasn't all that enthused when I got to the end of Baldur's Gate 3. And it's a couple things. So for starters, I don't like most of the companions. And that's apparently a controversial statement, because everybody loves all the companions, and Asterion especially, which is kind of weird to me, because when I met Asterion, I wanted to stab his guts, and I never lost that impression of him. But like, all the companions are kind of boring, minus one, and that's Karlach. I like Karlach, and I think it's not
Everyone
necessarily
likes Karlach.
Everyone
I think that's not necessarily because Karlach is interesting, but more so because Karlach is personable,
nice.
and I actually like her.
I mean, like,
because
Will and Gale are nice too.
Okay, I don't want to spoil the game for you, Charlie, but the thing with something that I noticed as I started kind of thinking more about the companions, why are half your companions with you? Why are they first level characters?
Yeah, that's fair.
Gale is the chosen of fucking Maestra. That is like saying your companion, your buddy, is the president of the United States, and he's a first level character.
You're saying maybe they should have been more just like some guys.
I realized
they're
this
too
more
interesting.
I realized this more as I thought about it, because Will is the Blade of the Frontier. You don't get all of Shadowheart's backstory, but she's probably the most critically important cleric of Shar in the setting. And Asterion makes sense. He's a first level character, and
You just don't like him.
I just don't like him. And Lae'zel makes sense, and I actually kind of like Lae'zel, even if she's got some weird lines of dialogue and is the horniest character in the weirdest way. But what I realized is these are all like 12th level characters. And yeah, exactly. They were weakened by something. And that's okay to do for like one character. It gets weird when you realize it's like 3 out of 5 companions. Because Gale is that. He's a chosen of Maestra who, like, his backstory basically involves him losing all of his power. So, of course, he's a first level wizard now.
Well, 3 out of 6. Karlach's not here for some reason. I don't know why she's not in this picture.
Yeah, never mind. Yeah. Karlach's kind of the same thing, actually, though, because she's got the infernal engine in her chest.
Yeah. And,
like, that's killing her. Which is why it makes sense that she's kind of weakened, since she's out of hell, where that thing would be literally making her a 20th level character.
Yeah.
So, like, she makes a bit more sense to me, at least. But I realized that, like, a lot of Larian's writing for their characters feel kind of derivative to me.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, they're fascinating, unique, and I don't know why they're all in a party together. And they don't mesh.
They kind of have the... Well, okay. This isn't something that I've thought a lot about, so this is probably going to be half-baked. But can I give a theory?
Yeah.
Well, they're also the player character. All of them.
That's the problem that I think arises.
Yeah.
You can't make interesting or unique companions if
you have a party made entirely of 7 player characters, or 6 if you're not playing any
here's the thing. At a D&D table, this is a nightmare. This is a DM's nightmare. The 7 player characters who all have their super unique motivations that drive the plot so hard that you now have to figure out how to take all these disparate threads and work them together. But this is what confuses me, because someone wrote Baldur's Gate 3. This isn't a bunch of player characters who all made the bad decision to all be the main character. So, and then on top of that, because let's get into that, the 8th character that isn't in any of this is, there's an origin you can pick called the Dark Urge.
Yeah.
The Dirge, who is himself a different main character.
Yeah.
That you don't experience unless you pick the Dirge run. And everything about Baldur's Gate 3 is like, in execution, it's fine, but as I think about it, in like a post game clarity, I'm beginning to like realize I don't much like a lot of what's going in. And I'd mentioned this to you off stream, and I'm going to mention it here. What I realized, because you had mentioned, well, I think part of the reason people like this game so much is it actually takes what you say and do into account. So like in Act 1 especially, there's a lot of, you make a small decision and it matters later in Act 1.
Yeah.
This kind of stops happening.
Yeah.
You get deeper into Act 2 and 3.
I've played like 40 hours of this game. I'm still in Act 1, so I can't really speak to that, but yeah, I've heard that.
But like the drop off in like losing quality from Act 1 to 2 and 3, like Act 2 actually is a really good climax, and I like Act 2 a lot.
Yeah.
But a lot of the things going on in Act 2, it feels like are kind of just more of it, but not necessarily executing great.
Yeah.
And the worst offender for all of this is, and this is some spoilers for people, and I'm going to try to not spoilerize it as much as I can. You find a villain's like journal, and in it he lays out the entire devious scheme that is the entirety of the game. This is my evil plan, and these are my co-conspirators, and like it's laid out bare, clean as day, like you know exactly, and at this point, some of this stuff was still supposed to be a mystery, and it just spoils every little detail. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Yeah, why the fuck is the Act 2 boss cooler than the 2 of equal power? Good point. The co-conspirators are not shit. But you have this definitive evidence of a conspiracy. And in this Act 2, there is a character who is a political leader in Baldur's Gate, who could cast the sending spell and tell someone about this problem. And you cannot go to them with the the proof that the main villains who are operating in Baldur's Gate, the city, are there. You
just have to keep that to yourself.
You just keep that to yourself. And why? Why in a CRPG, a game built around making decisions and doing things where you're important and the main character and things are happening, why is this here? Why did someone not just cut this or like make this be less obvious or put this later so that it's too late to do anything with that information? It drives me up a wall, and I just keep thinking, I don't think this is a problem.
I love that.
Yeah, you've arrived to me losing my mind. I don't think this is like because some of this is just kind of inherent to CRPGs. There's only so much you can write around. And they've talked about the reason that the party stays at level 12, doesn't go beyond level 12, is because when you get past level 12 in 5th edition, the spells start getting too buck wild for you to program a system that keeps them. I don't think that's true, because people have made 20th level campaigns in 3.5 and 4th edition and Pathfinder 1e and probably even some of the other systems for years, which again is like Larian's jumping in on a game other people have been on for a while, and I think people are just acting like there hasn't been people here for years.
Yeah. I hate to cut you off, Alex.
Cut me off, please. I could go too long.
We gotta move on.
We gotta move on.
All right. Honorable mention, and then we get to the other ones. All right. Here's my honorable mention.
Yeah.
So, honorable mentions. I'm just gonna go through these rapid fire. Sticky Business. There's not much to it, but it's fun. I keep playing it. I don't know why I keep playing it. It's fun though.
Yeah.
It's cute. It's nice. It does what it wants to do. I have a whole review of it on my on my website. So if you're actually curious what I think of it, you can go look at that. Suika game. Girl, this is just a mash 2 watermelon game. You're trying to make a watermelon out of other fruits. Smaller fruits combine and make bigger fruits, and eventually you get a watermelon and you win. This game is fun. You might see people playing it on Twitch, because it came out on Switch recently. You can play it for free in a browser, and it's just good. It's great. I like the mobile. There's a mobile version that's really good that I like that's free. House Flipper 2 is just House Flipper 1 again, but less ugly, and all the mechanics work better. And I love House Flipper, so... Vampire Survivors. I played a fuck ton of Vampire Survivors. I played a lot of Vampire Survivors. I bought it on the Switch with all the DLCs when I had COVID and was bedridden. The only things I did while I had COVID were play Vampire Survivors and play Picross 3D on the Nintendo DS.
Awesome.
So I love Vampire Survivors. It's like the best of its genre. I love it. Woo. Hey, Karlak. I love Karlak. She's
great. I love her.
Yeah!
Karlak!
Women!
I'm the queen!
I was playing Baldur's Gate 3. I'm going to scrap my 35-hour playthrough. I'm still in fucking Act 1. And I'm going to play a new version of it where I'm going to make out with Karlak. And that's going to be my goal.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Hell yeah.
Eli, you got just one honorable mention.
Yep, I played Wobble Dogs this year, and it's really fun. I didn't want it to slot it into any of the best categories, but it's one of those things where it's just like, I like a game with creatures. This is a game full of creatures, and you make them, and they, I don't know, they do silly little things. And also, you're doing kind of genetic work with it, which is also just a lot of games that have been coming out recently that I'm just like, wow, games for me specifically. Actually, I feel like I'm going to really fast add one thing onto the anticipated category, because I just remembered one.
Sure. If you just throw it into the... Can you throw it into the PowerPoint?
Yeah, I can do it.
You can do that. We're about to have an ad break anyway, so.
Okay.
The music versus the visuals. Alex, honorable mentions.
All right. So I played Supplice. It's a boomer shooter, and we're in a boomer shooter renaissance, y'all. If you are someone who played Doom as a kid and you're like, I just want to play like Doom, Supplice is Doom. And I don't mean Doom 2016, I mean Doom. It's made in the Doom engine.
Oh, cool.
GZ Doom. People are making boomer shooters in the Doom engine in 2023, and it's great. Wizard with a Gun is like, kind of like Don't Starve, like mechanically, but fun. Because Don't Starve is so oppressive. Don't Starve is so oppressive, it can be so unfun. Faith. Oh my god, a horror game that actually kind of left me a little terrified when I went to bed at night. Ooh. So have fun with that. Backpack Hero is another inventory management game. If you liked Dredge because it had fun inventory management, this is like a roguelike fighting game where like you use the items in your backpack.
Okay.
So it's a matter of managing to make sure you have the items you need in your backpack. It's great. And Fate Samurai Knight, if you're into the Fate anime series at all, obviously they've always had like visual novel games.
Yeah.
Because that's where they started. This is Fate, but what if it was a Warriors game, like a Musou game, like Dynasty Warriors, Hyrule Warriors, that kind of stuff. Okay. It's great. It's like, this is such a great mix of like the chocolate and peanut butter effect of like, why have they not made a Musou game out of the Fate series before? I get to play my anime and be a cool badass.
I love chocolate peanut butter effect. I'm like just delighted by that.
Yeah.
All right. Honorable mentions done. We're going to take a quick ad break, and when we come back, we are going to get to Game of the Year, and I think you guys are going to laugh at me for the thing I picked. All right. Ad running now.
I like that we're pretty on brand for ourselves.
Oh, I have apparently cultivated. additional rant just for y'all.
Hi guys, in before game of the year is Cookie Clicker.
Yeah, Cookie
My
Clicker.
game of the year should have been fucking Cookie Clicker. Are you kidding me? I love Cookie Clicker. I think I played Cookie Clicker more than anything else this year, just because I had it running constantly in the background. My Steam end of the year wrap up was like, you played 7,000 hours of Cookie Clicker. No, I have 860 hours in Cookie Clicker because I just have it running all the time. All right, game of the year. My game of the year for the year 2023. Dragon Age Origins! A game that came out fucking like a decade and a half ago. Yay! Okay.
Oh god.
Listen. I know this game came out 16 years ago. Or no, not 16. 2009 to 2023 would be
14.
14 years ago. Okay. So, but I can justify this. The reason Dragon Age Origins is my game of the year, I love this game. It's my... Shut up, Anna. Don't Charlie me. It's my favorite RPG of all time. I would not have picked it as my game of the year just for that reason. Playing it on stream really made me look at it from a new perspective. And that's not just because of my stream, but I've watched a bunch of other people stream this game this year. Give me your Pong. I've watched a bunch of other people play it, and seeing it through other people's eyes was also kind of awesome. I love this game. I loved showing it to new people. I loved playing it for fucking 80 streams and not 80, whatever, you know, like playing it for like 50 streams or whatever.
Because 50 weeks a year, you were doing
basically
it
a year, yeah. You know, give or take, because I didn't play it in October and I started streaming in like February or something. I don't know.
Like 40 plus streams.
Yeah, I loved playing it and showing it to people and telling people what I loved about it and telling people about the characters that I loved and talking about the lore and talking about the mechanics and like being in other people's chats who were playing it and telling them tricks for how to beat like things. You know, I was in God, whose chat was I in? I was in Quarksand's chat, and I was like, oh hey, by the way, you're playing a mage, make sure you're playing a mage and you're playing an arcane warrior, make sure you loot that guy over there, because I don't think she was looting everyone, or I just wanted to make sure. I was like, make sure you loot that guy because there's a weapon you'll like. And she got like one of the best weapons in the game for arcane warrior, and I love just being able to be this like secret keeper
guy.
This lore master, just like being in people's chats and being like the person that got asked about like, hey, what do I need to do to beat this person, or where do I need to go to do this, or can you help me with that, can you help me with this? People, when I was streaming, coming into my chat to ask me for technical help with Dragon Age Origins, which is something that could be so easily annoying, but I actually didn't really mind it that much because I just love this game so much and love like getting people into it. And so I guess my game of the year isn't really Dragon Age Origins. My game of the year is streaming Dragon Age Origins. And I don't know, I love this game and I loved being part of it communally with everyone. So that's my game of the year. Eli?
My game of the year is South Scrimshaw for exactly all the reasons why I was mentioning. Okay, visual novels so fucking samey sometimes, but South Scrimshaw is a visual novel that like goes in a completely fucking different direction and is, again, just like gorgeous and heartrending and perfect for me in almost every single way, like by sound design and art and like carefully chosen wording and scientific background and research. It's so I like my friend Everett really quite often will show me things. We have incredibly similar interests, and so Everett was like, you have to play this game or I will have to stream it for you right now, get on call now kind of thing. And like I'm just like really, I don't know, like I occasionally will like lose faith and I'm like, video games boring actually, and then somebody will make something that just like knocks it out of the park, and like this is so good and it's free. I really encourage everybody to like, even if you're not really into the whole idea, like just download it and take a look through it because
Yeah.
it's free and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And also, when one of the plot points happens in here, you will cry so hard about a little whale. You
Oh,
will
no.
start
Oh,
sobbing
no.
like your life depends on like you're like it feels like such a like moment like when you're young and you read Peter Pan and it's like the whole clap your hands if you believe in fucking Tinkerbell and you're like, oh shit. You will want to save this whale so bad. Look at him, he's just a baby. Come on.
Um,
It's so good. I love this
all right.
game.
I love that. You've sold me on this one also.
It's so good.
Alex, your game of the year
Is probably pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon. Okay, I actually want to talk about something that like this game made me realize as I was playing it, which is it in a lot of ways Armored Core 6 is a callback to a kind of dying breed of game. Around the 2010s, like Assassin's Creed came out and everybody started being big open world, always like out and about doing the things games. And Dark Souls kind of ate up FromSoft from like a they don't make anything but Dark Souls perspective. And they came back to Armored Core. And the biggest thing Armored Core has going for it that just like I didn't realize how much it made me happy until I was like halfway through it was like, "Oh, this is great." It is discrete little missions that make you play like you just have to figure out how to solve this one mission, whether it's
That's such a
the simple.
Yeah.
And it's the idea that that's a throwback is wild.
Yeah.
Because that's just
But it's-
video games. Right?
Yeah, for sure. It's just they don't really make them like that anymore, huh?
They don't make them like that, and I hate to be that they don't make them heavy like they used to. Because no, like they used to is freaking playing Super Mario, where they kept alive systems from the day when it was in an arcade, and that was awful. It was bad. Don't make games like that anymore. But the fact that everything's kind of open world these days has made games feel very samey. And also, it means that you can't make an interesting, discrete mission because now it has to fit into the open world.
Yeah.
And it also means that sometimes these levels, they just reuse a level, but they change the mission parameters. And that feels great.
Yeah.
Because you don't get that sometimes, because it is just, they just slapped, kill this enemy, and in our big open world. And it's like, that feels the same as every other kill this enemy in our big open world.
Yeah.
But when it's like, beat this particular Armored Core, or beat this particular AC on this particular map, it changes. And if you look at Armored Core 6 and you look at like the last Armored Core that was made in like 2010, they are drastically different games. The old Armored Cores are clunky and hard to play and difficult, and this one's honestly easy by comparison. It's still a hard game. It's still tough. I burned 10 hours on one boss because I just could not figure him out. But like at this point, I could probably beat the entirety of Armored Core in like 10 hours with a fresh save, which is fast. It's not a big game in that regard, but it's a lot of fun. It's a good action game, and it makes you feel like a badass the whole way through. And it gives you really hard challenges that when you overcome them, you feel even more like a badass.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's our games of the year. We do have one more set of slides to go through because we want to bring up our most anticipated games of 2024. This is kind of like a little cooldown section. We're not going to spend like a ton of time on these, but probably slightly more on the honorable mentions. But there's not much to say about these because they're not out yet. But,
Yeah.
Okay. Go first. Here's my most anticipated of 2024. Let's start with ones that might come out in 2024. Hades 2. I probably won't play in 2024 to be honest, because it's going to release in early access, and I probably prefer to wait till it full releases. But I'm really excited for Hades 2. I love Hades. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines supposedly is coming out next year. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for it. I need to play Vampire the Masquerade 1, but most anticipated. Shut up. Solitaire and Spirit Swap, these are kind of in the same category. I played the demos for both of these. They're super, super fun. And I really want the full games to come out soon so I can play them. If you don't know, Solitaire is a tarot card reading game, but it's solitaire instead of like regular cards. It's very fun. I like it a lot. Spirit Swap is like a match 3 game with lo-fi background track and really cute characters. It's really fun and good, and I like it a lot, and I can't wait to play it. Paralyzed, ain't no fucking way Paralyzed is coming out next year, but I'm like, just, you know,
so crossed.
You can always hope.
You can always hope. It's not. I just hope maybe we get a release date next year. I'm so excited for Paralyzed. The Sims needs a competitor so bad.
Really, like, it needs someone to be like, no, this is not how you're allowed to sell a game.
Yeah. And then the most like coping I'm doing on this slide is Dragon Age 4, which is definitely not coming out next year.
Okay, that's what that screenshot is, okay.
Yeah, so here's the thing about Dragon Age 4. Is they said on Dragon Age Day this year, which was in December, they fired half their staff, so that's bodes well for the game. And then they released a trailer that shows that there's some new locations that you're gonna go to, maybe like Antiva, and that's very exciting. And then they said, hey, we'll have more information for you, like maybe a release date, maybe next year in the summer. Fuck you, EA.
Oh, that's...
I can't.
Dragon Age 4 2025, you heard it here first.
Maybe, if not 2026. Oh my god, this game has been in development for so long. This year, it'll have been 10 years since the last Dragon Age game came out. Oh my god. They released 3 Dragon Age games from 2009 to 2014, and now it's been 10 years. This one has been... Oh my god. If this game ever comes out, I will... Here, I'm gonna make a promise that I'm gonna regret. I like to do that on stream. If Dragon Age 4 comes out, I'll do a 24-hour stream on release day of me playing it.
Holy fuck.
I'm gonna hold you
Good luck. Good luck, Charlie.
I'm gonna be like, it's coming out.
It doesn't matter because it's not coming out.
You're like, who gives a fuck? Nothing's real.
All right. Eli.
Me. God, some cope on here.
Yeah,
Hard
talk about
emoji. So let me start with, we both are excited about Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. Looks fucking dope. It looks fucking dope. I don't know. I'm
looks dope. It looks fun. I want to play it.
Briefly, I just like Sam and Max, and these have been really fun, and it's been great. Like revisiting it. Everett is also one of the people that we're a lot of adventure game likers amongst my friends, so we do just play a lot of Sam and Max. Anyway, so I think that'll be fun for us. Cycle is coming out this year, so wishlist it on Steam. It's so good. Everybody go wishlist it and get it. It's great. Game of the year every year from now on.
You know what Eli's game of the year is gonna be next year.
You know it's Cycle. Bugaboo Pocket I don't think is going to actually come out this year. The developers are very like, maybe it'll happen, and it's like, that means no. You know what I mean? But it is basically just like Tamagotchi, but there's bugs, and also you get to pin the bugs, and they're cute, bugs. And they're real bugs, and I like them so much. They have, of course, the classic rubber ducky isopod, which is really cute, and I like isopods a lot, but they also have some different like cicadas and moths that don't always get a lot of love, so I'm really excited because I like bugs. Speaking of liking bugs, Silksong is not... It's not
happening.
It's not fucking happening, but I really need to believe in something.
Listen, they said at the Xbox showcase last year, the year before, that all those games were coming out in the next year, and it didn't happen.
It's like, it feels like those fucking things where it's like, Silksong tonight, Queen? You want to do like Silksong tonight? Silksong tonight?
You got any more of that Silksong?
Like, I feel like it's crazy. I feel like one of those conspiracy theorists that's like the world's definitely gonna end in like the next couple months, but it's like me about Silksong. Anyways, God, I can
The
hope.
world can't end.
It's
Silksong's not out yet.
It's
That's
gonna
true.
drop with no warning next month.
Yeah, I swear to God.
All right, Alex.
Oh, I wanted to put on my list again. Okay, let's talk about Silksong some more. So yeah, Paladins is great, and I played the demo of it, and God, that game just
Demo's
looks so
super
much
fun.
fun.
I
want
had
to
too
play
much
it, like,
on my
with
list,
people.
but this was on my list originally.
Yeah, it's like Mario Party, but like you're D&Ding. I don't know how to explain it. It's just so fun.
It's
I
cute.
gotta
It's
check it
very
out.
cute.
Silico is another boomer shooter that's, I think, also using GZ Doom, which is like updated Doom engine to make a Doom engine game in 2023. I just like boomer shooters, and they're almost always like the people that make them are just solid grade A people. Sorry, I always forget how to say this. Nine Souls, he's just like, it's in the kind of same space as Hollow Knight in terms of that like 2D fighter, like you're fighting bosses. And I played the demo for it, I want to say 2 years ago, and it's supposed to come out this year. And then Dream Settler is the sequel to Hypnospace Outlaw, which is just a very fun, like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like you're a internet forum moderator in the 90s, basically. And this is a sequel to that. And I really loved Hypnospace Outlaw when I played it, and I played it like 2 years after it had already been a thing, and it was just great. So I'm looking forward to getting to actually kind of experience that blind compared to when I could just look up all the solutions. And I did that and kind of ruined the game for myself. And then I'm coping about Silksong, y'all.
It's so hard. It's so hard to be a Silksong truther in this day and age.
It just won't happen, and I want it to happen.
If we believe hard enough and we clap our hands.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's our Game of the Year stream, guys. Thanks so much, everyone, for hanging out tonight. Thank you, everyone, for the follows and the resubs and all the love. We are gonna go raid our friend Turtle Pig, who's doing some art. We love Turtle. You guys all know him. You know him. Eli, Alex, thank you for being here with me tonight.
Thanks for having us.
We'll definitely do something like this next year.
Yeah.
Regular streams are back Tuesday, the 9th, next week.
Oh yeah.
Yippee.
So I will see you guys in a week. Let's go say hi to Turtle. If you're not subscribed, you can use this raid message. If you are subscribed, you can use this raid message. I will see you guys around. Have a good one.